What is up, everybody? It's time for the second floor of the maze event.
Yay!
This is great. So if I remember correctly, this is even longer than the other one. And then the next floor is even longer. And then the next floor is even longer. And then when by the time you get to the end of this event, it's pretty much just the grindiest thing of all time. Hey though, they just gave us 2 apples. I'm okay with this. Let's see. Alright, well, let's get to it. Get some coup and Angra bond. It has been interesting using Angra and then just ignoring every card that he has because he doesn't do anything. But you know. Yeah, I already did a little bit of the second floor off stream just because I didn't want my AP to be whiffing all day. But I didn't do that much, so it's not a big deal. And you literally did not miss anything. There's just a lot of connecting. So I looked at the gameplay trailer thingy for the Fate Extra remake, and it looks exactly like what I said, where you're not really building a deck, it's just you're picking how many rock, paper, and scissors you want. It looks so much like the original combat system, except the only difference is you just, like, you pick, oh, I want 2 rocks and 3 scissors and 3 papers, right? Or 4 rocks and, you know, that's what it looks like to me, like, completely. And yeah, the graphics look better, but that doesn't make the gameplay better. Hopefully there's more to it than that. But that's what it looked like to me. Doesn't really matter what I bring, just bonus CE, really. It really doesn't look like Slay the Spire at all to me. Like, not even a little bit. Aside from just cards. Like, it looks like the core of it is still rock, paper, scissors, and then there's a few other things. That's what it looks like to me. I tell you, as much as I like Ku and Angra, they are not an efficient duo for getting through these stages quickly, but it's not that big of a deal. Like, I suspect it will still have better gameplay than Fate Extra. Hi Jimmy, it's Peter. That is a lot of bits. That's 500 bits, thank you. Appreciate that, Jesus. But yeah, I suspect that the gameplay will be better than Fate Extras, but that's such a low bar, I don't think it's going to be anything all that great. Yeah, Ku's the one holding back the team, clearly. Gotta unleash the mud. How many people here have Angra? And then how many people here have a Grail Angra? I know some people still don't have them. Yeah, and a lot of people have them, but then don't level them. There's that too. I have NP5 Angra, jeez. I think the highest I have him, I've gotten many copies of him, but spread out all my different accounts. I think the highest he is on any account is NP3. Hey Maniac, what's up, man? Thank you for the NP4 and JP and NA and Looking Glass, excuse me. Thank you, Looking Glass, for the 10 bits. Get my my name's confused there. Hey Hex, what's up? That means you're one NP rank away on both servers. I'd like to get him NP5 someday. Then I might grail him. I don't know, there's just... I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? Anyway, there's so many things I want to grail right now. Dude, I like how my new account just instantly got Ongra. Like, well, not as fast as the 1 to 3 star account though. I think the 1 to 3 star account got him on day 1 or day 2. It's kind of silly. But I got him really early on the new account. I think the Grail mechanic has done really well, and because the problem is, if you other games a lot of times like 6 starring and Epic 7 and things like that, or like limit breaking and what do you call it, and 7 Deadly Sins and stuff like that. I don't really like those systems too much because they're so easy to do that it's basically just a grind, and it can get really grindy to do it, but it's almost expected for you to do it for almost your entire roster that you're planning on using. That doesn't make it very special, and at that point, why didn't you just make that the default max level, right? I much prefer the way FGO does it because the game is very much scaled around the idea of just all the servants at their default max level, and then 5 stars don't even benefit that much from Grails. It's not like it's... Yeah, a level 100 5-star is powerful, but it's not really that different from a level 90 5-star. It's not really that big of a deal. But the lower stars, because they have a larger total number of levels they can gain from it, they see a bigger power change, and you can take a lot of units that were kind of maybe originally intended for very niche use, or for just like helping you out in the early game. And then if you grail them a lot, you can give them a lot more general use, so you're freer to use them more often and stuff. I like that system a lot better because it really shows who you really like and like what you really care about. Where in a lot of the other games, it's more of just like a grind thing you have to do sooner or later for any of the units you care about. I mean, I think it's fine though, because Kojiro is a 1-star, and you're still able to get him up to a pretty powerful level, right? Like if you go 2K Foe, level 100 Kojiro, you're getting pretty good results out of him, right? Like that's good enough to be like, yeah, I can use this unit pretty often, and he's really applicable against riders all the time and everything, so there's really no problem. And you know, Kojiro lore-wise is you know, his whole thing is how he like is godly skilled but has horrible stats and everything, so I think it works out really well, and you still get that super low team cost. Because it legitimately would be messed up if like every 1-star in the game, if you grailed them and did all this stuff, they were like on par with all the 5-stars because their team cost is so low. Like that'd be kind of whack. And yeah, you have a few random low stars that definitely scale better than normal with grails, but that's kind of just expected to happen, and I think that's fine. That adds some fun uniqueness to units and stuff. Besides, if every unit in the game could become, you know, Omega broken, it would get kind of silly. If everyone's 10 out of 10, nobody is. And then you have to start trying to make someone 11 out of 10, and then 12 out of 10, and then you just start, you know, massive power creep problems. It's a lot of connecting right now. I really didn't care about the Xbox stream at all. Like, it was just a lot of nothing. Like, it was a lot of, this thing exists, and we're not gonna really show anything of it. And then, like, the Halo gameplay was so fucking scripted, and it was just Halo gameplay. Like, I love the old Halo games, don't get me wrong. It's just, nothing about that was interesting, right? It might be fun, sure, but, like, it was just, hey, look, it's Halo. Like, yeah, we kind of already knew that, right? Like, it didn't really show anything I really cared about. It was just Halo being Halo. I played the original Fable games when I was young, but again, they didn't show anything. They didn't show anything, right? Like, they just showed a CGI thing, and it's like, yeah, this exists. I don't know, I don't care very much about the mainstream game industry anymore. I feel like it's gotten a lot stupider as time has gone on. And it's just a lot of style over substance. That's like, and that's not, you know, I'm generalizing. There are absolutely AAA games that are good, like definitely, but I feel like I have less patience for that kind of thing as I've gotten older, and I think the industry has legitimately gotten worse. So I find myself not caring. It's like, oh man, Assassin's Creed 40, whatever. I care a lot more about indie games generally. And you know, there are AAA games that come out from time to time that I am interested in, if it does happen. Yeah, the red, blue, and green skeletons are pretty cool. And like, even when a AAA game comes out that I'm interested in, though, the way everything is marketed now, it's such resident sleeper. Like, I've seen it a million times. It's just like the same publishers doing the same bullshit tactics to try to overhype things and hide problems, and it's just the same shit every development cycle. And it's like every time there's a new console, it's like I don't care. It's the same shit. Like, wow, you have 2% better graphics now. Oh wow, I care so much. Yeah, I agree with that. AAAs don't really take any risks, and you know, and a lot of it's their own fault, but some of it is just, you know, the issues with the industry. But a lot of they've made a lot of those problems. You know, the industry is the reason we have such bloated development costs. That's why they don't really take risks, is because marketing costs so much. You know, paying the employees costs a lot. And normally it takes years to make and all these things, so it's such an expensive endeavor that they don't want to take any risk of it failing. So they'd rather do a mediocre thing that's guaranteed to make money than do a risky thing that could make them loads of money or lose them loads of money, right? They don't want to do that. Which, on the one hand, I understand, because you got to pay the bills, man. You know, people got lives and families and stuff they have to worry about, so I get it on the one hand. However, it was kind of the industry's fault that they have such a bloated marketing and development costs nowadays. Oh yeah, Psychonauts 2 was a thing too. I never played the original. I've been aware of it ever since I was a kid, but I never played the original. It wasn't really up my alley. I don't have a problem with it though, it just wasn't my cup of tea. Took them like, what, 15 years to make a sequel or something? Hi, Rex. And they say as you get older, like you're less interested in new things and blah 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 blah. But I don't really feel like I'm at that point yet at all, because it's not like, oh, look at these new things I don't understand. It's actually, oh, look at all these old things I've seen a million times, right? Like that's the thing I have, and sometimes some things are tried and true, and they're still going to be fun. It's not like just because something's been done before you can't do it again, right? I'm not saying anything like that, but there's a standard in the AAA industry of style over substance and mediocrity and like really easy stuff that's not that engaging for me, where it's like they're trying to make sure anybody can beat the game and stuff like that, and they just keep doing those kinds of games over and over again, and I didn't like them to begin with, right? I didn't like this kind of stuff even when I was younger. So, and now that I'm older and I've seen it a million times, I'm like, yeah, I still don't like it, right? So, I don't know, the mainstream game industry is just kind of blech. Some companies do that, White Flag, where they do mainstream stuff and the big AAA nonsense, and then on the side they'll do more passion projects and almost indie projects as a non-indie developer. That does happen for some studios. It's kind of rare, but there's been some pretty interesting stuff that's come out of that kind of thing. I like how the game industry basically just had no frame of reference for a game that had any degree of difficulty. So anything that had any kind of difficulty, they just called it Dark Souls. Like, it's so fucking stupid. And I love Dark Souls and everything, but it's not like Dark Souls was the first game that had challenge in it. And Dark Souls isn't even that hard. It was more of that it was, if you go into it blind, it takes a while to understand. And it's about understanding it and figuring it out, right? You go back, you know, so long ago, we've had many games significantly more complicated or just harder than Dark Souls and stuff. Yeah, that was such a thing for a while. Like, it became a meme, but it was true. Like, the game industry absolutely was doing that. It was so stupid. Yeah, fucking Cuphead, man. You know, I always heard about that journalist that just could not play Cuphead to save his life. And, like, struggled so much to get through the tutorial. But I'd never actually seen the footage of it. And just really recently, I actually saw the footage of it. And that is just shocking. Because I'm pretty sure I could get someone that's never played a video game in their life before, and I could probably just sit them down, and I think a lot of people would be able to get through that tutorial faster. Like, that was such a fundamental... Like, it was like such lazy, not even trying to use your brain, like, not even trying to problem solve. You couldn't figure out how to, like, you know, fucking jump dash. Like, are you kidding me? When, like, how to do it is literally, like, in the background of the level, like the wall, the background wall has, like, they have the controls, like, drawn on it, so you know what to do. And I saw somebody sat down their 5-year-old son or something like that, and didn't tell him anything and saw if he could get through the tutorial faster, and he did. And literally a 5-year-old, right? That's so dumb. And to be fair, youngins are good at learning generally, even though they're, you know, not nearly as smart, so there's that, but still. Like, well, and my whole thing is, it's one thing if, like, your grandma can't figure out how to get through the Cuphead tutorial, right? But your grandma's not a game journalist. That's not being paid to do these things. I swear, so many game journalists are that bad, and that's why so many developers have to make this hand-holdy bullshit. And there's a lot of problems in classic arcade games. Like, a lot of that stuff was really arbitrary and, like, contrived to get quarters out of people. So there's a lot of difficulty in that stuff that's actually bad. Difficulty for the sake of difficulty is not a good thing. Hi, Jinical, and thank you for the 10 gifted subs out of nowhere. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. But yeah, I've got to fix my notification sounds. I've checked Streamlabs for like an hour, and I cannot find a way to make it so like a chunk of gifted subs just does one notification. People have said that's a thing, and I've checked. I mean, I'm just blind, but I just absolutely cannot find a way to do it. I can either just turn them off completely, or I don't even see an option that's anything to do with like gifted subs or anything. But yeah, thank you again for the 10 subs, man. But I really do need to fix the notification thing. I would if I could. I just absolutely cannot find a way to do it. But half blind Rex. There are some old arcade games that were good though, for sure. But a lot of that kind of difficulty I think is really arbitrary. But it's not like arcade games are the only example that we have of. And thank you for the 17th month resub, Bull, the resub. A lot of subs here. But yeah, there's, you know, like even Ninja Gaiden Black is an example I always use. You know, that's much older than Dark Souls, and it's got a very similar kind of difficulty, but I think it's actually much harder. Uh-oh, Anger's getting beat up, boys. Can't have that now. I wish Ku had 2 cards right now. I probably did last turn, and we could have like won there, but you know. See, the problem is, like, Ku can one-shot either of these, but I'm trying to get the other 2 to one-shot one first. I don't think that's gonna happen though. I mean, it's a lot of defense down. There we go. Okay, we got that. This Mystic Code is just unique to this event. You don't get to use it outside of the event. It's funny, it's a good Mystic Code, and it's definitely better than the standard like stat line or value that you would get out of a typical Mystic Code. But it's actually not perfect by any means. If it was a usable Mystic Code all the time, it would get used a lot. But there are times that it would not get used, just because it offers no defense and no anti-debuff, nothing like that. So there are circumstances you wouldn't use it. However, it offers like the most offense out of any like Mystic Code ever. Like it's absurd how much offense it gives you. So it would be the most used Mystic Code if it was available all the time, definitely. How much damage can we do with normal cards here? I guess one bad thing about this Mystic Code is the 99th turn cooldowns. There's that as well, because there's definitely fights that even if you get this kind of burst, because there's health bars and install mechanics and stuff. In the long run, it actually might end up being worse. There are situations like that. Not a lot, but they are a thing. This is not a server. I need to fix my command codes, man. My Q command codes are really bad right now. I just don't want to respec until I need to, because otherwise you'll respec to like use generic stuff, and then you have to respec again for like specialized stuff for like a boss. So I figured just wait. You don't have guts on it yet, though. I'm talking about what we have right now. I know you get guts on it eventually, but right now it doesn't. And I don't really consider stun defense. Stun really is not defense. It's basically stall, because it won't save you, right? Like, for example, let's say the enemy, I don't remember, when does this get guts? I think it's at the end. Anyway, if the enemy's about to NP and you stun them, right? Yeah, you don't die that turn, but then they're just going to NP next turn. That's not really survivability. It can result in better survivability in like a chain of events. If like, oh hey, my evade comes back next turn, but they're NPing now, so I stun them, and then I get my evade back. But that's not direct survivability from the Mystic Code. Like, I always consider stun more of a utility thing. Like, it's utility that can definitely result in survivability, but so is debuff clear, right? Like, you can have a debuff that will kill you, right? You can have, there's literally a debuff that actually does kill you after a set amount of turns, like you get insta-death after a few turns. There's dots, defense down, those things do translate into death, but I wouldn't really call debuff clear survivability, it's just utility. But yeah, guts, when it gets guts, that's survivability. I mean, this Mystic Code is ridiculous, right? It's, like I said, it's way stronger than what you would normally see out of a Mystic Code. Well, at least, even like the one right now, I know it gets other abilities later, but like what it has right now is better than your typical Mystic Code. Outside of very specific circumstances. Like, it would be used the most. Like, I mean, easily. Like, just the Stargens aspect of it is ridiculous. There was just a debuff that they used sometime where it was just like, after a turn or two, you just got, the instant death effect would go off. It's not like a uniform debuff, it's just something they made for a boss or whatever, which, you know, is extremely common. There are loads of, like, one-of-a-kind debuffs. Yeah, Ricky Boy's thing, Guts won't, Guts will save him. But it is worth noting that that kind of effect is not insta-death. It's sacrifice, which is its own thing. And the reason it's its own thing is because they don't want things like, you know, like because we have insta-death resistance now, right? Like, that's a thing. They don't want that working on it. And same for Qingong. Qingong is sacrifice. And as of right now, the only way to survive sacrifice is guts. I don't think you use XP to level the Mystic Code. It just levels throughout the story. And I don't remember why it gets other effects later, but I know it does get other effects later. I don't remember how that works. I haven't played this in a while. I don't even remember all the effects that it gets later on. I think you might get like an MP battery later or something. Like, I think you might get like a 100% MP battery or something. That is so stupid, by the way. Yeah, that version of the Mystico, like whatever you get at the end, that would probably be used always, unless there was just a super specific boss gimmick for like, you know, again with health bars, you were going to be strong enough to break the health bar anyway, and then you really needed to deal with debuffs and that kind of thing. So like maybe use Atlas or something. There are occasionally still times you wouldn't use it, but you would use it like 95% of the time. Aphrodite, you could probably still use it for Aphrodite. Like that's, yeah, it is a very debuff heavy fight, and it is, you know, fairly easy to hit the damage thresholds to break the bars. But still, you could like, I can't remember exactly, but I think it eventually gets the effect to give you 100% MP battery, and that's just so strong because then you can just turn 1 MP, break a health bar, right? That's a really big deal. I may be wrong about that. Maybe it was MP drain or MP gain or something, but I thought it gave you an MP battery later. Oh yeah, she has that debuff removal like block or whatever. Yeah, it's pretty whack. It's got that unique symbol they hadn't used before, I don't think. Clearly we need to give Angra the damage CE. Wow, they really don't like him. See, right now it's stun defense down, and that's so good though, because the defense down is really large, and then the amount of stars you just make here is stupid, and then it gives you MP gain up. No, I'm sorry, it gives you Stargen up, that's what that is. Yeah, they're just afraid of Angra, clearly. I just remember when you do like the final boss, like if you space out the 3 skills on the Mysticode, each one of them can contribute a lot to helping you break a health bar. The meter is like kind of bad, but it's like you have to do it and it doesn't matter. Ultimately, the meter on the side, everyone thinks it's like a big deal. It literally does not matter. Because when you get to the end of the event, you can just arbitrarily completely fill it or drain it, and it just doesn't fucking matter at all. And the final boss is just different based on the meter. Like, I think I can't remember if there's more than 3. I think there's just 3 versions of the boss, where if it's completely full, it's like hard mode, and then if it's partially filled, any percent, it's like medium mode, and then if it's completely drained, it's like quote-unquote easy mode, right? Or something like that. I can't remember though, it might have been where like, at certain breakpoints, the boss would get slightly harder up to full, like, because you can see like the breakpoints on the meter, so each checkpoint might have actually made it slightly harder, but I honestly just don't remember. But like ultimately, I'm pretty sure you need to fill it because I just cannot fucking remember because it was so long ago, and I remember just not giving a flying fuck because it's so irrelevant. But I think at like the very end, like if you haven't filled it up, you need to fill it up to progress, or something like that. But I don't really remember. Ultimately, just use the Mysticode. If the bar fills, you don't give a fuck, because if later you want it to be not filled, you can just click a thing and get rid of it, so it's like whatever. It's one of those mini mechanics that they made trying to make it seem like some unique, different thing, and it doesn't matter at all. Yeah, I think you needed to fill it to unlock the last quest. I'm pretty sure that's the case. So you might as well use... That's why I've been using the Mysticode a lot, even though I don't need it half the time. Because it fills faster when you use the Mysticode. But also, like, clearing rooms and stuff fills it slightly as well. I don't know. This might be the one time we don't bring Ku. As much as I want Ku Bond, or maybe we don't bring Ongra. What do I want? What do I want more? I guess I want Ku Bond more than Ongra Bond. It feels bad, by the way, but I mean it is what it is. So. I have absolutely no idea how many rooms are in this event, and I don't know why anyone would want to count that, but it's way too many. Actually, Ku could one-shot this with the damage CE. This event is pretty long. So Billy can obviously NP this and just instantly kill it, but I'm going to go for the crits, because I mean, come on now. Oh yeah, this guy's dead. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Ku did all the work there. Ugh, I only got 28 bones. Uh-oh. I'm actually kind of low on seeds, too. Seeds are like the first silver mat I've been low on in like a year, but I also have not, like, farmed seeds in so long. Like, I've completely ignored them for so long. I just happen to have a lot of units I've leveled that need them. But I have some left, but I'll actually have to keep an eye on those, though. I think the one right here is the way out, but it's time gated. We can't actually leave right now, so I might as well do all the alternate paths. So we're not trying to rush to the exit because it's blocked. Feels bad. It looks like we've already done a lot of the alternate paths, so. It's gonna be a while before Ongra's Bond 10. His Bond 9 to 10 is a bit rough. Freaking Canis Bond 6 to Bond 7 though is just like the roughest thing ever. I just like how that's her largest Bond rank. I don't even understand why. Like why Bond 6 to 7? Why is that the... Like it's longer than all her other Bond ranks. I don't get it. Yeah, if you like Robin, you really do want to do this event to grab the Poison Command Code. I'm actually sad that my new account can't do this event because I haven't done Lost Spell 3. And I guess I actually could rush through the game and use command spells and OP supports, and I'm sure I could unlock this event and get the command code, but it's not worth it. Because if I really want to do Robin stuff, I've got the Poison Command Code on 3 other accounts, so it's kind of whatever. We are bringing Ku against Sabers again. Very logical. Should have crit down the other guy. I like both of them laughing, but Ongra's laugh is so much. I don't know. I don't know if sinister is the right way. Mischievous, I guess. Any bonds to E worth getting besides Hercules? Yeah, there's a few other good ones. Some of them are kind of situational and just depends. But there's quite a few other good ones. There's no other ones though that are as good as Hercules. His bond C. There's nothing like that. But St. George's is good, but it's actually a lot more niche than I think people realize. Hans's is good. And there's several that are like decent. They're like good placeholders if you don't have another CE like them. Like there's some people have give themselves guts and stuff like that, but they're not as good as like gut CEs from like Gilfest or Nerofest and stuff. So they're like good placeholders, but they're nothing amazing. Arash's can be good, again very niche, but it can definitely be good. Yeah, and a lot of supports have good Bond CEs. Like Mozart's is good, Alexander's is good, Caesar's is good. CEs like that are pretty much useless on any unit but a support. You know, Waver's is good, Merlin's is good, Scatty's is good. Unfortunately, Shakespeare does not have a CE like that. He doesn't, like, if Shakespeare's Bond CE was Buster up for the team, that'd be really nice, but, unfortunately, he got, like, Stargin up or something like that. Han's Bond CE is niche, but it's really strong in that niche, and I have seen plenty of boss fights where it's good. Han's Bond CEs, he just gives the whole team like just debuff resistance of like 30% and forever, and it's quite handy, especially if the units already have magic resistance themselves, because then it stacks, and then they're sitting there on a lot of debuff resistance. And that's there's plenty of fights where you're gonna want to bring Hans anyway as a budget player or something, and then the fight also happens to be debuff oriented, and you don't need like a turn 1 Hans NP, so he doesn't need starting NP, and then it's really good. There's like Aphrodite is a fight where it can be really good. The Tam Beastie fight is a fight that can be really good. There's a few in Nerofest and Gilfest that it's really good. Like it's a good option to have. It's not like, oh man, you're going to use this every stage. You're absolutely not. But there are definitely times where it's really good. And then you also have, sometimes you'll use it with units like Protoku or something, or Bedivere, that have their own, they have magic resist and their own anti-debuff skill. And then you have Hans's passive going on all the time, and then they're basically just not going to get debuffed, even if the boss is throwing out debuffs constantly, like Aphrodite or something. Yeah, Helena's can be good. I think a lot of times, though, you'd be better off giving her a damagey CE, because if she gets her MP sooner, and if she's hitting a lot harder, that's going to make up for like a different unit doing 20% more damage. Now, sometimes though, you'll not be using her as a support for a different unit, and that unit happens to be fighting an assassin. So then it can be good, but that's normally not very practical. A lot of people, I think that's the mistake people make with her, is they try to use her as like a budget waiver. But she is a DPS caster that on this side has some nice support as well. So you want her doing damage, and someone else also doing damage. And as though you might say, oh, but the 20% applies to her, it doesn't matter. Like, 20% damage up pales in comparison to a CE that actually has an attack stat on it, and then has another damage effect on it, and then maybe has starting NP. That blows 20% damage out of the water. To compete with that kind of stuff, you need to have something like Art of Death. And the thing about Art of Death is, not only does it have a larger multiplier than 20%, but it also has an attack stat on it. That if Art of Death had give you 100 attack and 100 health, it wouldn't really be good. It really wouldn't. So it's hard to justify hers, but there are times that it can be good. Like, there are going to be times where, like, maybe you're focusing on a Berserker fucking up an Assassin, and she's more there as a bonus, right? And you get that extra 20%, and it's good. So there definitely are times, but I think it's pretty damn rare. Just because giving her a damage CE, I think, is ultimately better, or just starting in P. She's actually a really good DPS for like an Assassin killer. And a big part of it is because her competition is so trash, right? There are competitions way better than her, like Ilya and Plot Monk and stuff, but most people don't have them. There's not a lot of good DPS casters killing assassins. Welfares are good, but honestly, it's actually really easy to outclass a welfare, even as a free-to-play. Because there's a lot of things that actually work against welfares. And it depends on the welfare. Shiki's kind of a really broken one right now. The welfares, right now, most of them don't have upgraded NPs. But they're NP5, but that means if you have like an NP2 someone else, but they are upgraded, a lot of times they get a lot of comparable damage. It just depends on the unit, obviously. And a lot of times your 3-stars can out-damage your welfares. That's actually very common. There's a lot of 3-stars that if they're like Bedivere. Like, I mean, you know, Bedivere's NP damage is going to be higher than a lot of Welfare's damage just because he's got an upgraded NP and a lot of damage up skills. Again, it depends on the Welfare because there are Welfares like Kentucky that are NP 5, don't have an upgraded NP, but then they have Quick Up, and then their NP gives them another Quick Up, right? And so they do a lot more damage and stuff like that. So it's not like Welfares are bad, they're great. But it's pretty easy to compete with them or beat them. And quite a few Welfares are actually kind of shit too. There is that. Shiki's nuts though because she's got all those nice things of a Welfare, and then she also has an upgraded NP, and she just had a really well-rounded kit anyway, and she has a damage up skill. So, however, her competition on the budget side of things is 100 Phase, who is just one of the absolute best 3-stars in the game. So the 100 Phase still competes with Shiki just fine, even though Shiki's that busted. Basically, they're both just really busted. Yeah, then you have Cha-Cha, who's just bad, but what are you gonna do? He does not, like, there are times where you just need an AoE Berserker, and she can fill that role. But there's no reason to use her over a lot of the other ones, right? A lot of times the other AoE Berserkers are just going to perform better than she is, even if she can perform good enough. Beastly, the 3-star CE for this event, the face Vlad is making, I just see as that emote you do, like the close-up of the, like, I don't know what to call it, troll smile. That's not quite the right, evil smile. I don't know how else to put it, but that face Vlad is making completely not that one. That's just you. It's like that other one. It's like a super close up. I don't remember the emote name, but it actually kind of reminds me of that one too. It's kind of bold. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I always think of that when I see that 3-star CE for some reason. Get that. I like how we're fighting so many sabers right now, and I just keep using Ku. It's fine. Didn't crit. That would have killed to be a crit. Bullshit. The things I do for Bond. I don't know why I targeted that one. It hits all of them, so it doesn't make a difference. Yeah, there is no back. So what are you gonna do? Yeah, I would have made the Mystic Code optional, but it's like it's a thing story-wise. But my lore, but yeah, it especially when, like I was saying, that is one flaw with it, even though it gives you amazing offense. There are times where you don't need offense. It's like, yeah, my double scatty Edmund is going to one-shot anyway, so I would rather have, you know, like the Babylonian one or whatever. The good thing about it, though, is you can, whatever Mystic Code you have equipped will get XP, even though you're not using it. So if you're wanting to level a certain Mystic Code, you can still do that. So they at least thought of that. I mean, it's just, I don't remember what it's called. It's just you attack with the card and you'll remove a debuff. I think it's the most recent debuff that's been applied to you. Pretty straightforward. The good thing about it is it doesn't have a cooldown. I feel like if they made that command code now, if they never made it back in the day, and they made it now, they probably would have given it a cooldown, like they gave the heal, the big heal one, and the NP gain one, that those have cooldowns. I think they would do that for the debuff one. What they might do is they might, I don't know, this might be too much. They might add a command code that removes 2 debuffs or all debuffs, but and that has a cooldown. Because I think the debuff removal one is a 3-star command code, which is ridiculous. But so that means they could make a 4-star or a 5-star version that removes, you know, more than 1 debuff. I don't know, maybe it was a 4-star command code and I'm just out of my mind. Yeah, see that, right? That Vlad face right there. That's the what I'm talking about. Yep. full debuff clear would be wild. Yeah, I figured Kairo's chat was gonna try to get him to get Kiara. He's just gonna burn her if he gets her anyway. Although he might keep her for all the strengthening and interlude quests, the gameplay, because she has a lot now. Because, you know, they gave her another one. I remember someone in my chat was like, they're totally gonna buff Kiara. And I was like, I don't know, she's already been buffed twice. They don't really need to do that. I'm like, yeah, they could, because, you know, DW, but we'll see. And then they buffed her. I'm like, well, god damn it. She's the fourth one? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't really like the buff that they gave her, to be honest, because it's just, it makes her such a boring unit. But she's so popular, people want her to be OP, so it is what it is. I've just never liked Kiara, and it's not really because she's a thought. It's what she just does. I swear I cannot be the only person that feels this way. Now I know a lot of people haven't played CCC, but if you just like read her bio, like on the wiki or something, right? She does not seem like a real person at all. Like not even a little bit. And you know it's anime, it's fine to like exaggerate personalities and stuff, but she just seems like such a not a real person on so many levels. And this is way more how do I put this? This is way more shallow of a thing, but I just think she looks stupid. It's funny, everyone thinks she's like super hot. I'm like, she looks stupid. Like she legitimately looks stupid to me. She looks like somebody that's like trying really hard and doing a really bad job. It's like her hair is insane. And then like her horns are so big, it just looks like, it looks dumb. And it's like, that's way too oversized. Like, she just looks stupid to me. Like, I've just never liked Kiara on any level, right? Like, and most people think it's the thought thing, but it really isn't. It's just, she looks dumb, and then like, she's not an interesting character. Like, when I read her bio and her backstory and all these things and the way she, like, the way her character unfolds, it feels unbelievably unnatural to me, right? Like, it feels like the writers wanted to make, like, super thought, and they just made a character a super thought for no fucking reason. Like, that's what it feels like, right? Like, it feels so forced, and, like, they literally spent 5 minutes trying to justify this character without actually really flushing it out in a natural way at all. Like, again, it's really not the thought thing. It's just, she looks stupid and her story is dumb. Well, the thing is, first of all, she doesn't really fall to a beast level. It's just in a certain timeline she does. In other timelines, she remains, you know, this completely different kind of character. Although they're never going to show that character, like, ever. But it's just, it's so unnatural. And, like, she is just not a believable character to me. Like, not in the slightest. And she's not the only one. There's a few other characters that I feel that way about. I've not been paying attention to what I've been doing, but apparently we're going to beat the stage now. I feel like I've done a lot of stages and I forgot to use the Mystic Code, but whatever. There should be enough wiggle room. I mean, her voice actor is really talented. She's got lots of range. Like, she's voiced all kinds of different characters that are extremely different, so definitely not hating on the... And like, sometimes I find characters' voices annoying, but it's not necessarily the voice actor's fault. A good example is Nero. Nero is supposed to sound that way. She's supposed to sound like a child. She's supposed to be like a spoiled child and all that. She's supposed to have that kind of voice. I find that incredibly annoying, and I don't like listening to that voice, but it's not like the voice actress's fault. They're actually doing their job properly, right? So... I actually think anime fans are a lot more diverse than people think. I think they just get stereotyped constantly, and then I think that there's just so many anime fans that don't use the internet like that. Like they're not going on like Discords and Reddit and stuff. There's so many anime fans like that, right? And they. So I think like the mainstream like stereotypical view of what an anime fan is actually unbelievably inaccurate. And like I think like those kinds of fans exist, sure, but I don't think it's even close to accurate. It's true, her voice was less high-pitched and was less childish and extra, but in extra they also didn't make her as much of a fucking child meme, right? Like she didn't. They after extra, because she got so popular, they started really playing up certain aspects of the character and stuff, and they really kind of just forgot about the rest of her character that was an extra. But again, that's not the voice actress, that's the voice directing. And like the voice actor or actress's job is to follow the directing well, right? Like that's what they're supposed to do. Actually, it depends on the villain, and it depends on the taste of the viewer and everything else. Why is St. George here? I'm confused. How did that happen? Anyway, I think some of the most popular villains and most really like renowned writers and stuff will say, again, there's always exceptions, exceptions prove the rule, of course, but generally how to write a good villain is to make a villain that people don't hate. Right? Not necessarily like either, but generally you want villains to be relatable and you want them to have sympathetic qualities and stuff because that's how real people are. There are just no real people. The whole black and white morality thing doesn't exist, right? And most people in their own lives, from their own perspective, they're trying to do something that they think is good. And they may be doing things that they even acknowledge as bad along the way, but they justify it, for various reasons and whatnot. Those kinds of things generally are what make good villains, and overwhelmingly are the villains that are popular. Now, there's also room for just, you're like, oh, this character's just really badass, right? Like, like Gramps obviously has like no depth, but he's just a really badass character and stuff. It's not like everything has to be like some super deep introspective, character examination. Of course not, but generally, I find the villains that people just blanket dislike in every way are not generally that popular. There are exceptions, and there's the whole, love to hate kind of characters and those kinds of things, but I like, get my fucking NP, please? There we go. I've definitely seen plenty of one-dimensional villains, but they're also normally very forgettable. Be it anime or not, most of my favorite villains from things are generally ones that aren't. They're not just completely evil, or they're not even completely wrong, right? And maybe even agree with them in many areas and stuff. And that hell, there are definitely stories where the bad guy I think is actually right. That definitely happens sometimes. Because ultimately, the bad guy is the antagonist. An antagonist doesn't necessarily mean evil or any of that. Antagonist basically just means opposing force, right? Yeah, Tam has, like, no real purpose in London. London has some issues, so I think this way is the way to the ending. Well, ultimately, what makes a good guy or a good person or a bad guy or a bad person is completely subjective, obviously, but like kind of mainstream views on these things, sometimes they do make the protagonist a bad guy, right? That's definitely been done before. But the antagonist is always going to be the opposing force, right? Like it's not, if they're not, then they're not an antagonist. Like if they're not hindering the protagonist's way, and they're not putting obstacles in the way, or they're not hindering it, then they're not an antagonist. They're just another character. I actually like Tam less the more they've shown of her, because they've made her like a lot more psychotic. But I never really liked the character that much to begin with. Definitely just not my kind of character, which I don't think I don't think it's going to surprise anyone that knows me at all. So. Actually, I think Guadio is a really awesome villain. I just don't think they did a very good job of characterizing him over time. I think they kind of just kept him there as this boogeyman figure that we didn't really know anything about, and then in the last, you know, literally the last story, then they just dropped all of his character in one place. I think that character is awesome and is rather interesting and stuff, but they could have done a way better job, like having him be more active throughout the other stories and kind of weaving his characterization and all of that, instead of just having him be a boogeyman until the last second and they just kind of drop it all in your lap in one place. That's good character, really bad storytelling, basically. Which I think that happens a lot. She doesn't have the damage CE, but she's an event servant, so let's see how much she does here. Not a lot, not enough to kill it, but quite a lot. Yeah, Canis actually does have, you know, plenty of, because I mean, there's plenty of proud people and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's definitely more to him than just that, though. Again, didn't have, though, the best screen time, I suppose. I like Guadia quite a bit. I don't like the way he was characterized. Like, they could have done that better. Like, or they could have just, I don't know if saying characterized is the right way to put it. Just the way they showed his characterization, I don't think was that great. Oh yeah, I mean, they're obviously going to use him more and stuff, because they already have. He's already been in the Lost Belt some. And if, you know, if they you know, do better with them, then that's great. But it still doesn't change the fact that that was just, you know, they wasted so much time not, you know, showing his character, then they showed it all at once. That's just, you know, that's not great storytelling. Once we get past Lee and all that, you know, I really do need to play the 1 to 3 star account. I don't farm on it like at all, so it's not actually working towards what it needs to be working towards. That hair, man. Which fight is this? Well, it gives you busted around in art and quick up. I wonder what happens if I do this. Do I lose the art and quick up? No, you don't. OP. Let's go, scatty DPS. Could you crit, please? Wasn't enough. Look at all this overkill. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they add a second challenge quest to this event that you can't repeat. Although, because of the virus and everything, they're probably not looking to make... I think they're happy to coast as much as humanly possible right now. But, like, if you look at the events where they did add a second challenge quest that wasn't replayable for whatever fucking reason, they do it a lot for, like, reruns of collabs and, like, really, really major events and stuff, and that's kind of what this one is, so... I don't know, because of the whole virus situation and delays and all that, I don't know if they're looking to do any extra work if they don't have to. I actually really dislike, though, the second challenge quests that they've done because, you know, like the Yang one's fun and all, it's just not being able to replay it is stupid, right? Like, it's very frustrating. Like, there's no reason for it. There's no, oh, there's the exit, okay. But, I'm sure it's time gated. Yep. There's just no reason to do it. Like, it's not like there's you're not gonna get drops from it again, right? Why not just have it work like every other challenge quest where, you know, it costs 5 AP and when you beat it and if you do it again and again you get nothing out of it, right? Like that's I don't see why they needed to change that. I actually don't mind the time gates on this event because it makes it easy for me to keep up with all my different accounts. It also means you're not going to have, you know, whales getting to the final floor on day one, right? There have been time events, or time locks in the past, though, that were really annoying, so it kind of just depends on how they handle it. Can we? No, Ku doesn't have the damage CE. Probably should have kept the damage CE on him then, because Billy would do enough damage on his own. I probably could have killed all three if I'd done that. Trying anyway. All the damage. Actually, Billy could kill all three of these if he uses NP. But, I don't want to do that. Nope.
Okay.
I thought the last enemy might have a lot more health, but they really don't, so I could have NP'd and been a lot more efficient in the long run there. Oh well. Oh yeah, the whole nine-tailed fox thing is all over the place. Like, just like there's all kinds of different takes on vampires and all that stuff. I think we're actually pretty much done with the second floor now. This is much easier to do on stream because I can like not focus on the game as much, not be completely bored out of my mind. It's gonna get ridiculous though. I know the later floors get so long. I think that's everything. Let's look at the free quest. But I'm not gonna blow an apple to do a free quest. I'll just get my AP back naturally. Let's see. You know what? Let's play the new account. It can't do this event, but we can do some farming or whatever over there. Probably just chill, I guess. Not much to do here. Yeah, I think this unlocks at like 6 a.m. for me, so that's not a thing. Alright, give me a second here. Either that or we play the regular old account. Also, I'd like to play Arc Knights again soon, at some point. I haven't played that in a while. Yeah, the event is very tedious. That's a good way of putting it. It's a lot of loot, though, so at least if you're willing to put in the time, it's not like you're not getting anything out of it. You're absolutely getting a lot of stuff out of it, but... Just wake up at 6. Yeah, unfortunately, that's not going to happen. It's sad though. So many updates for FGO come out at like 6 a.m. and stuff. It makes me so behind if I want to make videos for like an animation update or whatever. It's actually pretty annoying. Alright, okay, that's not quite sized correctly. There we go. Wait, no, that's still wrong. Bigger! There we go. Actually, I think that's still wrong. Let's see. No, that's about right. Alright, I think I might be in the middle of the stage right now. No, I'm not. So what we need on this account is like golem cores. We need golem cores for several units. Sadly, most of the really good stages for getting them are not available to this account right now, but we have a few stages that are alright. Let me see where we're at with those. Because we need to get a Rosh and Ushi up, I think. And then I want to get Shakespeare up. When we get those up, I'll be pretty happy. Okay, Rosh uses 2. I think Ushi needs 4. And then I'm sure some other people need them as well. Oh, I think, yeah, we are cutting off part of the screen. Let me see. Yeah, cutting off part of the side. And a bit of the top. It's better. It's a lot harder, because I'm not using Samsung Flow for this, it's a lot harder to size this thing. Okay, I think that's right. Oh, great! He needs another 4, so I need 8. Ugh, that'd be easy if I had a stage that actually had good drop rates. But, I don't. The one good thing about the stage we do have... Oh god, she needs it. Ugh. We need a lot. See, this... I really am frustrated that this account has only done one event ever, right? It's just... it's not had... Because they've been basically doing no events. And then when they finally did an event, it's fucking Lost Belt 3 locked, so I'm kind of annoyed. Anyway, the stage that we do have to get Golem cores drops hero proofs. And although I actually have a decent amount of hero proofs right now, you can never have enough. You might be like, oh, I got an okay amount, it'll disappear so fast. So, and we need gold Berserker gems for Hercules, so it works out. I really should slot something on my main account to help out here. We'll use Ares Jerker for now, though. That should be alright. Yeah, we're trying to level this thing. It's only level 5 right now, but once I get that thing to 10, we'll have like most of our staple Like really just default Anniversary Blonde and then Atlas, which doesn't need to be leveled, and then get like Switch Mystic Code to like, you know, just a few levels ups or whatever, and you're looking pretty good. Alright, what are we doing here? Guess you want to keep the soldiers alive. Oh yeah, Europa didn't, she didn't survive. No. Of course not. No, she just left for the farm and she mailed us Anniversary Blonde. There was just no need for her on this account at all. And again, I don't dislike Europa. It's just I don't really hype her. And then gameplay wise, I just absolutely no need for her. So, and I have loads of need of Anniversary Blonde. So, happy to make that sacrifice. I really do wish that the abilities on Mystic Codes weren't tied to your appearance, because like a lot of the appearance options that look cool are really shitty Mystic Codes that there's no point in using. I should have cast that last turn. Tried to get Yagyu but got Kama instead. That happens sometimes. I kind of want to see how Beowulf does here. Oh yeah, my Beowulf is only NP1 on JP. It's still good, but... trying to remember if the enemy's a Berserker at the end or a Saber. If it's a Saber, I could just summon an OP Archer. Although, I'd probably summon Billy, which I'm not sure I'd classify that as OP, but still, okay, yeah, it's a Saber, I'll just summon Billy. Give me that FP, man. Oh yeah, Mori gets bonus damage in the Maze event because Mori is Japanese. That's funny. Also, the fucking insane amount of Japanese-related main stories and events, dude. I should probably just buff up, because I think she might struggle to actually one-shot this, we'll see. Yeah, that's probably not going to kill, we'll see. Wait, the devs don't like Nobu's shirt? What? I got... What? The weak devs feel the power of busters. Apparently so. I don't get it like that. The whole quick buster art shirt thing has been so universally accepted and liked by the community. And even if you don't like hype it, I don't really see why you would dislike it. Like it's like what? I mean, technically, like all my accounts are free-to-play accounts except for Edmund. But yeah, this is like the new one we made, which we're just getting some farming in on, which is not going as well as I would have liked because Spriggans are asshats apparently. Yeah, I had a feeling she wasn't going to kill, and I was correct. Alright, let's see how Billy does. I'm guessing it's more of an individual doesn't like those shirts for some reason. I don't know why though. Again, like I get if you were like like if every single ascension for Nobu was like that and you didn't have a more serious version or something, I guess. But I mean, she's a summer servant, so I really like that Spriggan actually. If he was playable, I would use him. Because I like Spriggans to begin with, and then that one is green, so... God, they fucked up Billy's in piece so much. Thank God I have the power of editing for my videos, though. Oh yeah, there's Lancers here. They're not that dangerous, though. I was really asking for it right there, though, wasn't I? King Lear's friggin', he's kind of cool. I like the green one more, but he's fine. Got the little dude riding him, which is kind of funny. I'd really like the green skeleton from like the hunting quests and stuff. He's really cool. The golems are cool. The like Bloodborne guys are pretty cool with the crossbows and the axe. I like them. The Camelot Knights are really awesome. I really like the halberd version. That's this is so unnecessary, but let's get some crit damage in here, boys. It's kind of hard to get the... No, here, we just kill the saber with Hercules. Yeah, but then I can't do the other quick. So yeah, there's really no way to get a Buster card bonus, first card bonus in this. Oh well, let's see how this does. It's good enough, it's just... Yeah, I should have done that differently. Oh well. I actually think it'd be pretty universally liked if they did some kind of like side thing where you could like, you know, get trash mobs, kind of like a little, and then you could level them and stuff. And you have to tweak their skills a bit to be like playable skills to make them. Some of them would need to be buffed, some would need to be nerfed, that kind of thing. But I think people would really enjoy that. And I think the main thing that prevents them from doing it is they can't be bothered to do the math, right? They don't want to like, oh, what's the health threshold we need to give them? What should we make their skills do? Like, what should the numbers be? Like, I don't think they want to bother with that. If it was that many mobs, you know, like if they had to do it for like one mob, they wouldn't care. But the system wouldn't be worth doing for just one mob. And like for all the trash mobs, they're not gonna give a fuck. So one turn away from quick draw. That's sad. I should have evaded. Unlike everybody, because it's not even like Billy's pretty safe, but like I don't want Herc to die because then I have to wait for another unit to come in from the back row and all that. So. But yeah, if they added trash mobs, I wouldn't make them like from the FP or anything. I'd make some kind of gameplay system where you can like recruit them like through gameplay, just kind of a side thing, and make it so it's very easy to ignore. Like if you don't want to do it, you don't have to. But then if you want to do it, it's like something you can have fun doing. Everyone would go nuts when Nobus are available. Is that the snake, Beastly? Is that the snake? Like the snake people? Some of them actually do have cool skills, and there's that one in that free quest that has that insane heal for like 200k or something. And there's the the rainbow dragon, or drake, or wyvern, or whatever. The 7-month dragon, yeah, there's that one. It was a Roman soldier, not a Celtic one. Honestly, I like this idea a lot though of having trash mobs, and what I would do is you, for the most part, with the exception of maybe a few trash mobs that are like really hyped or supposed to be really dangerous, like maybe the Camelot Knights and stuff, you could give them, you know, pretty, you know, kind of supporty, niche-filling roles. You don't need to be like super powerful, but like, you know, make them really nice in their niche and stuff, kind of like how bronzes are, you know, do that kind of thing. I think that could be a lot of fun. Well, we'll do this. The Soldier H emote is coming. We're just gotta get the Honako D emote done, which is taking a while, but once that's done, that's gonna be the next one. Because we have like 2 or 3 emote slots available, so... Kai has just been really busy, so I might need to like get a second artist as well and see like what we can do. Because we have quite a few emote slots, and I want to fix up some of our past emotes. Like no one uses our wave emote. We need to make that one better. It's not good enough. Hey Valentine, thank you for the 3-month resub. Is that after Guilty Gear? Is that Guilty Gear name? I think it is. I think Aries busy too, though. Like if everyone wants to do stuff, great. But I think Aries been too busy. Can I make this work better? Let's see. This is I'm like min-maxing it for like no reason, but it's kind of fun. So. Although the dream would be getting more NP gain on Billy. I can definitely kill everything here though if I want to, like no problem. Fuck it, I'll go for the NP gain. There's no point. Yeah, Billy will one-shot either of those. So you can just do Billy card, first card, Billy card, you're killing both. But I like how we're like always one turn away from quick draw, so I don't have to blast him. Yeah, it was really hard for them to do anything with Caesar though, because if they had increased his hit count, he'd be too strong. Like they really couldn't do that. Like his whole thing is the fact that now he hits harder than Bedivere in terms of raw NP damage anyway. But Bedivere's got the battery, and then Caesar's got slower NP gain, but then Caesar also got the like the crit damage and the more team support. So they're actually balanced really well against each other, and if I think they would not be balanced well against each other if you increased Caesar's hit count. Dude, the drop rate on this stage for the Golem cores is so crappy. It sucks. This is where you need an event that has Golem cores, but you know, there are no events, so. Carmilla absolutely does not need a hit count increase. That would be unbelievably broken. Dear God. Like Caesar, it would be like, it wouldn't be OP, it would just make Caesar better than Bedivere overall, and I don't think that would be great. But buffing Carmella's hit count is insanity. You absolutely cannot do that. Her NP gain is really good as is. Like, it's really good. And so if you just... You literally add 1 hit count to her art card and she just becomes completely broken. Which, you know, I guess some people would approve of, but that is so not a good idea. Yeah, a lot of servants that have really low hit counts have very high gain rates, like absurdly high gain rates. That's not always true. Like with Caesar, it's not true, but there's a lot of characters that are like that.
Okay, ikuyo. Fire!
Steno's gain rate is pretty decent as well. Hey, Salt. Hey, Carmela's in really good shape. She's one of the better 4 stars, so there's no issues there, honestly.
Okay.
Like, there are obviously cons to Carmilla, like she doesn't have any hard survival, although she has a lot of soft survival, but that's fair, right? Like, and she compensates, the lack of hard survival she compensates for with, you know, good Stargin and extremely good NP damage, you know, even increases her teammates' damage a decent amount, and she's got, you know, some nice utility in her kit and everything, so it's like, it balances out really well. It's like, yeah, she's not the best DPS unit in the game, but she doesn't need to be. I mean, she's a very good 4-star. And now we got here sooner, so now we're 2 turns from our thing. Actually, Steno does a lot more than just insta-kill on males. She does buff removal, and she does defense down. And it's a lot. She actually can result in, like, overcharging, like, someone like Gilgamesh's NP and make them do insane damage, because she gives Gilgamesh attack up, she gives Gilgamesh Divinity attack up, she gives Gilgamesh defense down, she overcharges Aya so it does more damage, and if the enemy has a buff, she removes them. That's actually really good, right? Now, it's not amazing. I've always said this about Steno. It's like, yeah, she's a really nice, like, 4-star utility pick. Like, she's actually really nice like that, but she's a utility pick, so she's not gonna be, she's not applicable like half as often as Waver is, like not even close. But you don't need every fucking unit in the game to be like that. And look how many units in the game are pretty niche picks, but then like the community accepts them as still being very useful, right? Steno is like that, and then people just have this in their head, just like with Siegfried for so long, that she's bad, even though she's not. That's why it took the community so long to realize Siegfried was pretty good. Like, buff removal alone is really nice, and then you get a big defense down, and then you get overcharge, and then as a bonus, if they're male, you might be able to charm them. Obviously, there's a lot of mental debuff immunity out there nowadays, but still. And then you got the insta-death, but that is fairly pointless, let's be real. But that's why they gave her all that other stuff, was because, yeah, the insta-death was pretty pointless. The thing that would make her a lot more usable is just if she gave the 40% buff to everyone, not just Divinity, because it's pretty common to be like, oh yeah, debuff or buff removal is nice and defense down's nice and giving a large amount of attack up to my team is nice. Like those things are actually very applicable. It's just the fact that if you really want to get the most value out of her, she needs to be working with a divine DPS, and there's plenty of divine DPS that are, you know, super strong. You got Gilgamesh, Ishtar, God, Juna, you know. The list just goes on and on, but still, a lot you may not be using one. And she's got the debuff resistance too. Yeah, that's true. The thing is, Kama's a DPS, right? Like honestly, what's more likely to happen is you'd use Steno with Kama, right? Because you got your DPS, and then now you need 5 supports for your DPS, right? That's generally what you do, right? And then Steno is an even better support for Kama because they're both assassins, so if you're fighting a Rider, that makes Steno really tanky now, so now she's a support that's really tanky, and that can be helpful, so. And yeah, absolutely, Steno is not going to be the best support in the game. Absolutely not. Outside of like an ungodly specific circumstance where you need overcharge, buff removal, defense, like unless you need those exact things. Those things are very easy to be useful, But it's rare that the value from those things is gonna eclipse, like, you know, waiver even, right? Like, you're not normally gonna do that. But you might have waiver and Steno. Or you just have no access to waiver and you just need, like, you know, a good solid, you know, DPS boost and that kind of thing.
さあ早打ち勝負だ先に抜いてもいいよ僕の方が早いからファイヤー
Honestly, the need is still more of a quick support, but it's like when those quick units get buster cards, you can get big buster crits out of them. Like, that's more of how it works. You can use her as a buster support, but honestly, one of the best things you can do with her is use her with Scatty, right? Because then Scatty's got the big, you know, crit up and quick up and defense down and battery and all this stuff, and then you can mix in even more quick up, and then whatever, let's say you're using Edmund, you know, Edmund he's gonna do buster attacks, right? So having a buster up for that is nice. So I find it's best in that way. However, you can use her with Merlin and stuff too, right? She's more flexible now. She's like she's pretty much like a backup support, right? She's like works really well with those other OP supports. She's like another option. Like I say, that the meta of this game is ultimately 5 supports, 1 DPS generally, and she's another one you can throw in the mix to help out. Or if she's like the only one you have, she still performs quite well. Like seriously, if she's the only like strong support you have, she's still plenty of support, right? She's still doing good. Rex, don't start. Don't you encourage that, chat. We've gone down that route once before. This background is really cool. I'm sure it will inspire some of the scenery in the anime. I mean, Kiara was a decent solo unit before her buff. Like, her buff doesn't really even affect that all that much. It's not, like, that much extra damage for it to make that big of a difference. I mean, it helps, sure. It's, like, objectively better, of course, but she was decent enough to begin with. Oh yeah, I mean, obviously that adds up, but the thing is, like, that wasn't, I don't really feel like that was generally the make or break thing for her. And like, again, her track record was already pretty solid. Like, she was already, I mean, yeah, of course she's better now, but I don't think it's gonna like drastically change her track record. It'll definitely make it better, and I think what it's more likely to do is just get people to want to use her. So people just use her on things more often, right? Where she might have worked anyway. But it's true. Like she is able to spam her NP, so that is a pretty big deal. It's kind of like Tamcat, right? Because, you know, Tamcat can just heal. That's going to be kind of similar to that, honestly. But normally, what shut her down anyway was just NP spam. Like if she gets hit by you know, lots of rapid NPs and stuff, and that the heal's not going to change that. That's one reason why Tamcat can be really good, is because Tamcat has you know, the invulnerability and all that kind of stuff, but Tamcat still, if they're spamming NPs, is going to die as well. And Tamcat is way more likely to die to normal card damage because she's a berserker, you know. Yeah, I'd actually say Kiara's better at soloing than Tamcat, outside of certain circumstances, but they're both fine. Wait, does she heal for 7,000 now? I thought she healed for 5,000 now. Or did they boost it by 5,000? Let me look. I may be thinking the wrong shit here. Oh no, it heals for 5,000. Although you can overcharge it for more. That still is ridiculous though. Like that is it's I mean that's still ridiculous. Like it's still, you know, a huge heal. Yeah, but you're not gonna have you're not gonna always her uptime on her third skill is not, you know, it's not gonna be every time you NP. You're gonna loop more times, you know, without it, but it doesn't matter. 5,000 is more than enough of a heal, so it doesn't matter.
Okay,
Yeah, I thought it was just 5k. I'm not crazy. I'm not crazy, chat. You're crazy. Because, you know, her third skill only lasts 1 turn, and it's like a 6 or 7 turn cooldown or something, so... And it's pretty, like, you're gonna NP, like, multiple times before that skill is back. But you will get, you know, at least 1 use out of it, and that, you know, if you get your health really low, it can get you back in the game. Like her normal card, like, normal cards generally won't kill her, right? Kind of like with Arjuna. But I will say Arjuna is abnormally ridiculous, because he's actually eclipsing her there for the most part, because... He heals every single turn, doesn't need to do his NP for 5 fucking turns. You can get it so high per turn, it's ridiculous. But both of them are super safe against normal card damage. But she at least has some hard survival. You know, she doesn't have like the most hard survival ever, but she has some. Where Arjuna has no hard survival at all, which that's like the big thing that messes Arjuna up. Like, oh look, I'm so safe from normal card damage, too bad I'm gonna die to the NP anyway, where at least Kiara can, like... And you could use Atlas on Kiara, right? So you could easily get her invulnerability twice, and then get the invulnerability from the Mystic Code, so that's like 3, you know, really big things coming your way. If they're really spamming their NP though, like, you're not necessarily gonna get her third skill twice, even with Atlas, but... Yeah, she'll do fine. But she already did fine. Like, she's already soloed all kinds of ridiculous things. And Kido can still heal himself for like 15,000. It's a bit silly. And he also removes debuffs. And he doesn't need his NP to do it. Although he also has one of the most fucked up cooldowns, but with the way his toolkit is, it really doesn't matter. I don't think they're gonna buff him, Kido. He's so known right now as being busted and having insane NP damage and really strong niches and huge survivability. There are a few people out there that do like seem to think Enkidu is just this shitty Lancer that just is not good, and when they hear people say he's one of the best Lancers, if not the best Lancer, they're like, oh, it's ridiculous. There is a group of people like that, but it's not very many, so... Although, I mean, they play buff units that absolutely do not need to be buffed sometimes, so... At this point, if they, you know, if they buff Kiara, I'm like, yeah, maybe they do buff Enkidu, who knows? So we'll see. But... I mean, generally anything with 50% starting NP and then damage up that's applicable. Like, I swear I say this every stream. And this is just a universal thing. It has nothing to do with Gold and Sumo. It's just universally good to have starting NP and then a damage up, right? That's almost always the meta thing for like solos and even for a lot of team setups. Like, it's so meta. Just if you're quick, you want, you know, NP up or quick up. Right, or if you're art, you want NP up, attack up, or art up, right? It's just, you know, and there's so many CEs like that. Okay. And if you have absolutely no starting NPCEs that have damage effects, you know, then you can go with just the kind of staple long-term value ones like Art of Death, you know, Imaginary Elements, not a magic element. I'm measuring around. That's not a. I wouldn't necessarily use that on Enkidu. I mean, you can use it on Enkidu, but you know, just those kinds of things. Generally, though, I say the standard is 50% starting NP with a damage side effect, like Holy Night Dinner, Holy Night Supper, whatever the fuck, Drunken Jolter, and stuff like that. And then when specific circumstances arise where it's not as good, then you use something else. But it's not like Golden Sumo is like this perfect CE that it's mainly that it's just like this super general use CE because it's like it doesn't care what card type you are. It's literally vanilla as fuck. You know, it's just starting NP, attack up, right? Like that's nothing phenomenal. It's starting NP is really good. Yeah, I swear it's Holy Night Dinner on JP, but I don't know. It could be crazy.
予言するよ。このサンダラーで眉間に3発。それで終わり。くらいだ。
Jolter at a bar drinking alcohol. There you go. That's the one. How did Hercules take that much damage on turn 1? These guys only get 1 action each, and they can buff. They must have double attacked or something. I think they attacked Billy, and then they crit Hercules. I'm pretty sure that's what just happened. It's like the only way I can explain my health right now. Oh, that I think I know what CE you're talking about. It's like Buster up, Quick up, 50% starting NP. That's actually really good for Enkidu actually because he does a lot of quick and but his NP's Buster, so that's actually perfect for him. In many ways, that could be better than Golden Sumo because when you do a quick chain, you might make a few more stars and things like that. So. I should have done the 2 attack ups. I'd make sure Hercules kills this guy. Okay, he'll kill it anyway. Still, it would have been better to have done that. Because Billy would have killed that guy. I mean, you certainly use Enkidu's art card, you don't ignore it, but I'd say pretty undeniably, you do quick chains a lot, and then when you do like, Buster, and then you might do Buster, Art Buster when it's his NP turn, but you might do, Buster Quick, you might do Buster Quick, Buster. The art card does not get used that much. It gets used, it's an important part of his kit, absolutely, especially in a solo, because you might do Art Quick, try to loop your NP really, really quickly. But it's really common to do like NP, then quick, stuff like that. Your quick cards are absolutely getting used a lot, so a quick up is really nice. So then you're not going to complain about the Buster up either because your NP's Buster, so. Like, I'm not sure if it'd be better than Sumo, but it could be, and it's certainly comparable either way, so.
Okay.
Because Sumo still hits the extra attack and all that stuff. I really do hope. I've always said that because Golden Sumo was like a damage CE part of the Kentucky event, that they might actually give it to us if they did a main interlude for the Kentucky event. And there's no way they're not aware of how much people want that CE. However, I think they're also aware that they accidentally made that CE too general use. Right? It's not like it's OP, because again, on a Buster unit, aerial drive is like just as good, if not better. But that's only for a Buster unit, right? I don't think they intended to have this one CE. It's like, yep, this is an amazing damage CE for literally every unit in the entire game. I don't think they meant to do that. And which is why we haven't had... There's a reason CEs like it, like, attack up is not very common. And when they do have attack up, there's normally the other effects aren't as general and good as starting NP. Because if anything, it de-incentivizes people to want to, like, go out there and grind to get other CEs. Which I'm sure that's not their desired outcome. At least, they have a proper quick one now. It took them forever, but they have a proper quick one now. It's quick up, NP gain up, and 50% starting NP, and it's full attack stat, and it's free. Because they did other CEs that were similar to that, but they weren't free. They were in the gacha, but that one is free.
コインを弾いてっと
But the early ones were really stupid. But thankfully that's not a thing anymore.
Okay.
It is crazy though, it took them like 4 years to make an event like freebie, you know, welfare CE. That's the best way to put them. The shop CEs should be they're like welfare CEs. That's a good way to distinguish them from like welfare CEs and like, you know, unlimited or the ones you can get anytime, like limit over 0, right? And then, you know, gacha CEs are the limited ones. I just feel like when you say gacha CE, people are going to mix in K-scope and all that shit as well. So that's why I normally say limited gacha CE, but it's such a mouthful. I like how we didn't kill him there. Herc's fine, he just needed a nap. I don't use this account's AP every day. I really need to remember to do that. Just I need to get Herc to bond 10, right? And there's no events going on, so if I don't, you know, it's easy to forget. I like how Hercules' club is in the way there. I don't know if maybe I shouldn't be using my NP to start. Let's try not doing that and see what happens. Especially if we have a good hand like this. Alright chat, so this Fate Extra remake is coming out. Obviously FGO will do something with it. You know, sometimes when they collab with other games, it's very minor what they do. You know, like look at APOC, you know, until the collab event, but that was way later. The initial thing they did for APOC was like so minor. So what I'm getting at is with FGO is going to do at least something with Fate Extra, right? It might just be like, hey, here's a shitty CE, right? They might seriously do that. Nero buff, yeah, the chat knows where I'm going with this. But, yeah, what do you think they're going to do? But more specifically, are we going to get Buddha? Are we finally going to get Saber? And if we do get him, will he actually be a Saber? Will they make the new class? Or will they be like, lol, he's a caster now for some reason? Just like how, you know, Voyager is not supposed to be a foreigner, and they even say that in FGO, like they're just making him a foreigner because they don't want to make him his proper class. Like seriously, look at that. Voyager has a proper class and they don't want to do it, so they made him a foreigner instead. And they're like, oh yeah, that's not what he's supposed to be. Probably just an alter ego. He can't be an alter ego though. There's nothing about him that would be an alter ego. That'd be really dumb. No and no feels bad. Ruler. You dream too much. I mean, it's like there's no reason not to add him outside of that controversy, but that's such a stupid reason. He's a fairly popular character. There's nothing like different about him opposed to all these other characters. They added Ozzy. You know, they added Gil. They added these things. There's no reason they can't do it. I do think if they add him though, they won't make him a Saver. They should. Like, dude, the game needs Saver, right? Like, it's very usable. It's a class that I think the game needs because they need a. I like how you even answered yes, but not Saver. I like how that's an answer. But the game needs a flip side of alter ego, right? Where it's like an alter ego for night classes. And due to Buddha's lore and everything, that actually is pretty fitting for it to be Saber. I think that works pretty well. And then Saber is also a class that, unlike Moon Cancer and stuff, you could pretty easily apply to a lot of other things. Not even just servants. It's pretty easy to make trash mobs that could be Sabers. If you fight like, you know, angelic trash mobs and stuff like that, you can make them Sabers. So from a gameplay perspective, it's a thing you could use fairly easily. And there's obviously other, you know, messiahs and things like that that you could use the class for. So it's like, why not? And if you're willing to make a brand new class for fucking BB and all these other fucking waifus, you can add an established class that already exists for Buddha, man. Like, shit. So I like how No is winning, but you have to combine the other two. You have to combine the other two. So it's like what, 39. Roughly 40% to 60%, so at least it's kind of close. But yeah, it looks like most people are like, yeah, it's not going to happen. I feel like why most people feel that way is because, and I get this, it's because it's been so long and they haven't added them already. Right, they've added basically everything from Extra except for Saber. Like, seriously, they've added is there any other servants from Extra that aren't in? I don't think so. I think everything from Extra is in except him. And so that's a pretty obvious getting singled out thing. Yeah, I mean Extra though. I mean like literally Fate Extra the game, like the main cast of Fate Extra. Because I know there's stuff from like because there's stuff from CCC that's not in. Arc doesn't count. She's a cameo battle essentially in Extra. Like she's not like a servant that's from a Fate Extra really. That's like saying, you know, like, because they do like things like that all the time, right? That's not like part of the main cast. It doesn't really work that way. It counts to me. That's like saying, because you know Shiki is a bonus thing too in one of the games. It's like that doesn't work that way. Yoshiki gets in because of K and K, obviously. I mean, there is no Type Earth. There's almost a Type Earth, but they straight up say there is no Type Earth right now. Shiki is the best Fate Extra character. Hi, Eri. See, I almost agree with you, Eri, even though it's like a meme, but I almost agree with you. Unfortunately, Robin Hood and Buddha exist, so... Yeah, they basically said the whole archetype Earth situation is like the closest Earth has right now to having a type, but it doesn't have a proper type. The question is, I wonder if they're ever going to give Earth a proper type. I don't know. Because it's kind of like they're kind of wanting Earth to be different, I guess. You know, the struggle is real or whatever. It's me, lol. Yeah, Rex, it was Type Earth all along. Where were you in notes, Rex? Eh? Yeah, we don't have Lee from Extra, that's true. But in their eyes, Lancer Lee is Lee from Extra, which is complete bullshit, and I've always, you know, I've had many rants in the past about how stupid all that whole situation is. But that's definitely how they see it. I've backed off the space.
Okay.
Yeah, the other Sakura 5 aren't in, but some of those weren't really even in CCC to begin with, and obviously CCC's not Extra, but those saying though, some CCC things aren't in. Like a lot of the Sakura 5 were only mentioned. They never actually showed up in the game, even though they have official designs. They didn't use them on screen. I do wish they'd add normal Lee as at least a costume. I think it's really lame that they didn't do that. But you know, lol lazy. I mean, they were canon to begin with because they were mentioned in the game. Like they're talking about like having done things off screen and things like that. And I think like some of them had already died or some nonsense. So I mean, they were always canon. It's just they weren't actually shown in the game.
Okay.
It's funny. I'm not like I don't mind Suzuka Gozen. She's fine, but she's not like my favorite character by any means. I don't know why. I don't know how to describe this, but for some reason, I really like the fact that that Suzuka Gozen is the one that wrecks Kiara in Foxtail. I don't know why I feel like that works really well, but I'm not really. I cannot explain it, but I find that hilarious. Like, she's just such a good character to do that. It's not because of Sharky, but there's that. This song is Flame from Witch Hunter Robin. I think part of it is because she's not the kind of character you would actually think would be the one to do that. I think that's definitely part of it. Where so it's just kind of a unique thing, and then just you know the way those characters kind of line up is just kind of funny. Hans was probably the only reason they had any chance to be. Actually, that's a fact. Like in CCC, the only reason Kiara gets anything done and is capable of anything is because of Hans. That's the only reason. Like on her own, she would never be able to do jack shit. Hey, thanks for the gifted sub. I'm just gonna say someday. That's just what I'm gonna go with here. Thank you for the. That's a 9th gifted sub, man. I appreciate it. Dude, it's weird. I know I say this every stream, but like it's just. You're getting so many subs and gifted subs and resubs and everything. I don't even know what to say, man. I'm just sitting here doing stupid shit in FGO because GW hasn't actually added anything. And with the another gifted sub to Mr. What. Thank you, man. Imagine subbing. Imagine wasting your money on this shit. We're over here shooting a Spriggan with a pop gun. I mean, what? Also, I feel like I did that turn wrong, so we did way less damage than normal, but I didn't. Oh yeah, we did. We didn't use Caesar's first skill and all kinds of stuff. That's what you call not paying attention, chat. I'm rooting for the Spriggan. I mean, I think everyone is. Every time a Spriggan whips out a 20k. Dude, that Spriggan in the hunting quests a while ago. It was funny. I had a setup that could 3-turn it, and I had just misclicked. And I messed up, and I was like, oh, I'll just 4-turn it. But that meant, if you 3-turn it, the Spriggan gets no turn. If you 4-turn it, he gets 1 turn, right? Unless you like made the 4th turn like on the 1st turn or whatever, like the 1 turn you skip. And like it'll be fine. And then the unit that still had their NP was Mordred. And then he one-shot Mordred, and then so she died with her NP, and he hit her for like 20k. Like turn 1, he double buffed, so he got crit chance up, crit damage up. He did that twice. And then he crit her for 20k. That's one of the hardest hitting Spriggans I've seen. Like other Spriggans can hit for 20k, but they normally need more than like the buffs they can get from 1 turn, right? He just like instantly and that's also counter. Like he was being counterclassed. It's a Lancer. For fuck's sakes, it's a Lancer Spriggan. So he actually did like fucking like 60k damage or some shit if he was the one counterclassing. It's fucking ridiculous. Like on turn 1, dude was out for blood, man. It's really rare though to see a Spriggan as a Lancer. I've never looked into this, and it doesn't matter very much, but I assume that Lancer's enemies get that slight damage mod that the Lancer player units get, like how they get the 1.05. I assume the enemy class does as well, but I've never looked into that, and that would be a pain to figure out, but I'm sure someone's figured it out at some point. I expect they do, just because a lot of the other stuff like that is in some form or another for the enemy, so I would assume that's in. I actually have no idea how popular or unpopular Suzuka Gozen is. I'm not really sure. I mean, Fionn didn't need redemption to begin with. I don't know where people get this idea that Fionn is like some awful person from like even the canonical stuff that they had shown. Oh no, he wasn't happy that his best friend cheated on him with his wife. Oh no. And then, oh my god, he had the gall to actually hit on someone Like, because no one in real life has ever done that ever. Like, because the species is going to do great if nobody hits on each other, right? Like oh no, right? Like he hasn't done anything bad really at all, right? And people act like he's just like this awful character that's just terrible. Like it's silly. Like I'm just constantly seeing that where people have this idea that like he's like this terrible person, and I'm like, what? Decent part in this story. Well, the thing is, it doesn't change what I'm saying, Fury. I'm just using this as a springboard because it doesn't change how often people act like he's this giant fucking asshole. But although it is true that he hasn't had all that much screen time, that's definitely true. That's a different issue though. That's more thanks to Scath than anything. So. Yeah, Fergus, I think the reason the MASH thing is just because it's MASH, right? Most people don't hate Fergus, generally. Although I've seen people that really don't like Fergus either. I've definitely seen that. No, I don't think I have seen his birthday line. I don't think, actually, maybe I have and I just don't remember. I've seen plenty of birthday lines and I just don't remember them. I actually could not quote you a single birthday line in FGO, to be honest. The best I could do, some of the servers I remember like what kind of vibe they had, but I don't remember what they actually said, so. Okay. I've also never checked the English version. Like anytime it's my birthday, I actually always forget when it's my birthday. I don't think I've ever, like so often my birthday goes by and I don't realize it's my birthday. And I don't play NA very much. So I've actually never even checked my own birthday lines ever, not even once. And then like on JP, I can't read them, so it wouldn't matter. And I'm not active on NA, so it's like not a thing. Okay. I don't want to say his action lacks foresight. I think it's a lot of stuff. If anything, he actually shows an abnormal amount of forgiveness and restraint, where overwhelmingly most people would not. Right? Like the main thing is like. He still has like subconscious, grudge against Dear Mud, excuse me, we're killing the nickname here. Over the whole thing that happened, but that's reasonable. Everyone would still resent that person. He forgives him and stops trying to kill him and blesses their wedding and everything, so he's not like making actual practical problems for them anymore. But deep down, he still holds resentment for them, and that is completely fair. It's one thing to ask the guy to forgive them. It's not fair to ask the guy, oh yeah, you have to like deep down in your soul not have a problem with this anymore. That's ridiculous, right? And nobody would. No one in his situation wouldn't have some kind of problem anymore. But I would say most people, power goes to people's heads generally, right? So most people that are in the situation that, have the power that he has, and then if their wife and best friend cheat on them, most people are going to, and especially in a more medieval setting, most people are going to abuse that power and do really bad things with it to get back at them. But he actually had an abnormal amount of control and ended up, forgiving them and letting it go, which just most people just would not do. Like that overwhelmingly, most people would not. Most people are never gonna let that kind of thing go. Now I do agree in FGO a lot of times they don't use Fionn very well. I absolutely agree with that. I think the actual character that there is fine, but I do agree the way they use Fionn in FGO a lot of the times is not very good. Especially because he is one of the most famous Celtic heroes. Yeah, like he's extremely famous, right? He's basically their King Arthur, right? And not only have they removed a lot of his legend and myths and stuff and gave it to Scath to make Scath more relevant, because Scath and actual legends and stuff is really irrelevant and very minor and doesn't have really feats to her name, so they took them away from him and gave them to her, which was really fucking lame. So that was lame enough, and yeah, they don't use him very seriously, even though he has all this potential and stuff. So I agree with that. But yeah, it'd be nice if they do more Celtic stuff, like proper Celtic stuff, instead of putting Celtic stuff in America, right? Like, can we have like an actual Celtic singularity instead of having them hijack America? Like, that would be great. But yeah, I agree with like what Fury said. It's like they use it as a joke most of the time, and even though like canonically it's a more serious thing, they don't use it that way, and that's lame. And they have in passing a few times, especially like in Fate Zero, but like that's it. Like FGO itself does a really bad job with it. I like both of his designs. I think I like his Fate Zero design more, but I like both of them, and ultimately I hope they give us both. I have no problem with his FGO design though, I like it too. I like them both. Like his Fate Zero design is, you know, a lot more grounded, you know, it's a lot more like traditional to what you might expect from like a Celtic, you know, hero and all that. It's a bit less anime. It's still anime though. I mean, it's still an anime design, very much so. So yeah, I like it. I always like designs like that. But I like the more anime up version too. Yeah, I think it'd be really cool to see his Fate Zero design using his like water powers and stuff that they've established now and all that. That would be awesome. I'd actually really like that. I think that'd be really badass.
Okay.
I like Diarmid. I mean, he's not my favorite by any means. There's a lot of other Celtic heroes and characters and stuff that I like more, sure, but I think he's pretty cool, because, like, you know, he's kind of a victim of circumstance, and you know, he definitely makes some mistakes, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to whitewash the whole situation here. You know, he's definitely at fault in various areas, but he also acknowledges that. That's the thing, he very much acknowledges his faults. He's not a character, he has no delusions of himself being, like, you know, flawless, right? He's very aware of the mistakes he made. And you know, but he's still trying to, you know, do his best and all that kind of stuff. And like, I like his character in Fate Zero and all that. So yeah, I think he's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's not like my absolute favorite, but yeah, I think he's pretty awesome. Because, you know, he's honorable, but he's not blindly honorable either. Like the whole thing with Saber, with him blowing up his own in P, he's not doing that just because of honor. He's doing that because that's what's needed to save literally everyone in the city, right? Which is fairly important, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, you know, there's nothing, and ultimately, you know, people in life and in anime and everything else, and especially in like Fate, because it's kind of like they're kind of focusing on like what's their driving force, what do they actually want in life, what's their wish, right? That's how people are. Everyone has their own objective, what's important to them. So if your objective is being, you know, I see a lot of people that don't like the over-the-top honor stuff, and like if your objective is like, you know, just winning a war, then like, yeah, honor can get in the way. But if what fulfills you in life it is being fair and reasonable and honorable and respectable and all that kind of stuff, then it's not. And that was his goal in life, and that's what he enjoyed in life and stuff. So aiming for that stuff, I think is fine. It's actually, you know, I think that's an admirable desire. Like, you know, wanting to be honorable is an admirable trait, opposed to being, you know, your selfish desire being wanting to be a scumbag is I don't think is as admirable. So Doken's a thing. I mean, Coup fans overwhelmingly want Coup, the proper Berserker Coup. Like, I don't, overwhelmingly Coup fans are like, yeah, we want the generally what you see from Coup fans is they're really annoyed that we didn't get Berserker Coup, instead we got fanfiction Coup. That's generally how Coup fans feel. I don't think I've ever seen a Coup fan be like, yeah, I don't want Berserker Coup. I've never seen that before. Generally from the get-go, I remember way back, I mean, I'm talking way back, when the Fate community was way smaller, right, like, it was like Beastlayer and stuff. I don't think Reddit even existed yet, shit. Like, and the Fate Zero wasn't an anime yet and all that, but it was just like, you know, the Dean anime and Fate Stay Night, the visual novel, and like the Fate Zero book and stuff. I remember people talking about, because they mentioned Coup Berserker originally in Unlimited Blade Works, the visual novel. I don't think the anime does, but the visual novel does. And from the get-go, people were like, oh, I want to see that, that's awesome, right? Like, from the get-go, people thought the whole warp spasm thing, you know, was cool, and it was referencing the actual legends and everything. From the get-go, people always said, I've never seen people not want that. I've definitely seen people like, yeah, it's not really my cup of tea, but I've never seen Coup fans like against that. Like, I don't think Coup fans would be happy if that was the only version of Coup, right? Because let's be honest, it's a pretty small part of his legend. It's an impactful part of his legend, but it wasn't a frequent occurrence by any means. And I think it'd be kind of a waste if that was the only take on Coup we have. By the way, that's what it's like as a Hercules fan. Fuck. Anyway, actually it's worse. It's worse, because Hercules fans have to go through the fact that he's nothing but a giant, you know, meatball, but then they keep hinting at normal Hercules, right? They just keep doing it. They keep like, normal Herc, nope, just kidding. They keep doing that over and over again, right? He was in Lost Belt 5, but he was dead when he got there. Oh, he's in Fate Strange Fake for 1 page, and he's gone. And now he's Alter Hercules, right? Like, they just keep doing this shit. They keep almost giving us just normal fucking Hercules, and like, no, we're just kidding. It's actually Berserker or Alter. It's like, okay. Or he's dead. Normally he's dead, right? So that sucks. So that's almost the situation it would have been for Coup fans, but yeah, with Herc fans it's that, and then just endless, you know, teasing that they're going to do it and then never doing it. Seriously, it really sucks for like big Herc fans that really like his actual stories and stuff and want to see more of that, because they established from the beginning. It's not like this was like a new thing they added later. Like, oh yeah, there's other Hercs and stuff. No. From the very beginning, they're like, yeah, it's actually pretty abnormal to have Berserker Hercules. You know, like they made that quite clear in the visual novel, the original visual novel. They made it pretty clear, and they even hinted at Sane Herc a little bit, right? Like for a few seconds he's sane, and you get this vibe from him, and it's awesome. And then they're like, yeah, okay, we're never gonna do this, by the way. You know, fucking like 12 years later or whatever the hell, actually might be more than that now, seriously, what the hell? It's been so many years since the original Fate Stay Night, and they've had so many Fate stories, and we got 80 versions of Nero, and 3,000 versions of Artoria, right, and we got multiple summer versions of Artoria, but we can't get regular vanilla Hercules. Like, what is this? I don't understand. One of the most famous names in the history of humanity, one of the absolute most famous legends, period, and a popular character in Fate Stay Night from the get-go. It's not like he's popular in real life and unpopular in Fate. He's still very popular in Fate, and they've established a trillion alternate versions of characters. I mean, my god, there's so many alternate versions of like Nero and Jalter and Artoria and Attila and all these things. So we got alternate versions of Coup. We got, you know, we're missing some, sure, but we got alternate versions of Coup and everything. We got loads of alternate versions of Imio, you know, but we can't get one. We can't get one normal version of Hercules. The closest thing we have to an alternate version of Hercules are, you know, just a fucking Avenger Hercules, which is ridiculous, and don't even get started on that. It's like, fuck. And before somehow they make Herc female, I don't think they would do that at this point. Because they've already given him a design for his regular self, you know, and they've shown it multiple times, and they've used him multiple times, and yet in a way that we don't ever get to actually see him proper. It's amazing how much they've used Hercules but not used Hercules. It's kind of incredible, actually. Actually, I really don't. I think the only reason Fate writers, well, okay, here's the thing with Hercules is, and some of the writers even said this, they're just afraid to do it. Right, and then also they don't want to. I think this is a huge part of it, and because Fate, there's so much evidence for this, because this is something Fate writers have done so many times already. Is where they're really careful about not wanting to, like, if they're going to use a character in a minor or in a light way, they don't want to establish that character in a way that like traps future writers in a box. Like with Richard in Fate and Camelot Zero. They were super vague with him, and they left a lot of room for that. They basically made Richard in Camelot Zero in a way that if you didn't want to use that version of Richard at all and completely dismiss it, you could. So anyone that writes Richard in the future is not beholden to what, you know, this minor side character that they used for this thing. They do that all the time. They don't want to establish. And because Hercules is such a big name, and they've hinted at doing a proper version of him from the beginning, nobody wants to, you know, establish, and also might be making them not. They don't want to establish something. They want to, whenever they want to sit down and go, okay, we're going to do Saint Hercules. How do we want to do them? Right? They don't want to be beholden to past things. I think that's the issue, and that's been the issue many times before. And then you got the writer for Fate Strange Fake that even said he didn't think he should be the one to write Saint Hercules, he was going to save it for Nasu, and that's why he did Alter Hercules instead. And then you might be like, well, why hasn't Nasu done it? I just think Nasu just hasn't wanted to do it, or felt like it's the right time to do it, or he hasn't felt like doing it, or whatever, right? So, and he hasn't actually written that many ground-up stories. He's mostly advising and, like, you know, helping with FGO stuff and that kind of thing. So. I don't think it's kind of been a lot of unfortunate circumstances that have led to this situation. I would just wish that they would, like Nasu or Typhoon in general, would just realize, you know, how famous of a character he is, how much people want to see a normal Hercules, and like how insane it is that we don't have one yet after all this time, right? So you think they'd step up their effort to do it, but that doesn't seem to be the case. I'll say this: if the wait is worth it, then it's fine, right? I would much rather wait, and then when let's say they put out, Fate. I'm trying to think of an absurd name. Fate Laundry Basket, right? So, like, if you do Fate Laundry Basket, and if it's done really well, and it does the whole thing justice, that's good, right? I would hate them to rush it out and it'd be shit, right? Or if they do him in FGO, but they give him a bio and backstory and all that, and he's characterized really well, and his design is really good, and everything's, then great, right? Then great. Like, I'd rather have to wait and get the good shit than them rush it and have it be garbage. But I'm also afraid they're just never going to do it. Fate Jet Ski, there we go, Fate Jet Ski. It's a, obviously that's you would think it's a summer variant story, but it's not. It actually has nothing to do with that, because of course not. The thing is, the Avenger Herc really isn't just like human Herc. That's really not what he is. It's all the Grail nonsense as well. Okay, let's see. How... I didn't pay... What... I think I got 1? I just did that stage so many times. I either got none or I got 1. I had 2 or 3 when I started. I'm not sure. I might have had 3. What the fuck? Like, the drop rate's not amazing here, but it's okay. It's literally the best drop rate that I have until, like, the later stuff, until, like, Agartha and stuff. What the fuck, man? I just did that so many times. Like, yeah, I got hero proofs. I got several hero proofs. Nope, you had 3? Fucking... Dude, I got a gold Berserker gem! I got a freaking gold Berserker gem, but I didn't get a fucking silver Golem core. Holy crap, what is wrong with this game? Oh my god, and I need... I think I need 9 more of those. And honestly, those become really easy to farm later. When you do unlock Agartha, those become very easy to farm. It's quite nice. But yeah, right now it sucks apparently. So, a lot of people don't realize this, but if you're really trying to go the distance with Hercules, references by the way, the best skill to level up first is his second skill, and it's because once it's at rank 10, it allows you to do the whole second skill, Bond CE, third skill, Mysticode, and then your second skill comes back again, and that's worth it. That's better than like the extra damage and that kind of stuff. The first skill is really nice though, absolutely. The more damage, the better, of course, and so if you're not planning on doing the whole solo Herc live forever thing, then sometimes, and you're just going to use them on a team in a more generic way, then sometimes the first skill is better, but, what's funny is I've never seen the Disney movie Hercules. I've seen clips of it, but I've actually never seen it. Well, at least we get the first cooldown reduction. My favorite Herc Ascension is either 1 or 2. I don't like 3 very much, it's like too overdone. And Hercules needs these. Oh, joy. These are actually easy to get, and especially in the early days of FGO, they were in events all of the time. But right now, because there's no events, it's not really a thing, so. Yeah, it's nice to level Herc's third skill, but it's not that big of a deal. There are times where you can live long enough that it will come back, and also coming back with more health is good for dealing with dots and stuff like that, but... Yeah, I had so many of those on my main account that Canis needing them was not a problem. Come on, ley line. Ley line. Give me ley line. Let's go. So, chat, I can't decide how I want to do SQ on this. I know we've decided we're going to be like the story roll guy, and we're saving our summon tickets for like when new 3 stars are added. But I don't know if we roll every time we have 30, or I don't want to roll right now because you know we were pretty far into the stream and everything. It's kind of this is really random stream. But I don't know how I want to do rolling exactly. And we asked chat and they overwhelmingly said they want to do story rolls, and that's fine. But like it's kind of fun to do a bunch of rolls at once. But then also gonna be fun to roll really often when you get every time you have 30. So I don't know. Okay, but I want to stream a bit more. Let's see. Not much. I don't want to use apples on this account though because there's nothing is going on, and it's not like the drop ratio on this stage is clearly trash. Although I do suspect that was very bad. That was very bad luck. Like we just did that stage a bunch. There's no way that that was like typical RNG. Got the 1 to 3 star account, but there's not much to do over there. It really just needs an event. Like I'm just waiting. I'm basically just waiting to play the 1 to 3 star account until they add a lottery event, and then I'll get a bunch of assassin gems, and then I'll probably play it more. I am never rolling for Kiara. Do I look like Cairo to you? Do you chat? Do you think you're gonna be able to bully me into rolling for something? It's not gonna happen. I ain't no Cairo, boys. That's not happening. We'll probably do Arc Night soon, but I don't think this stream, because I've been streaming for so long, I don't want to split it up like that. I haven't played Arc Nights in a long time though, and I kind of feel like playing it again, so I guess we'll just play the regular ult account, get some stuff done over there. Just make this an efficient stream, I suppose. The only way chat can get me to roll for something is if I vaguely want the unit, or if it's like, you know, like a meme with like, you know, Merlin or something. But I'm never gonna roll on like Kiara or like, you know, Liz, unless she's rated up with someone else, obviously. You know, I'm not gonna roll for Thickcaster. You know, I technically I did, but that was because Pinth was rated up. I was rolling for Pinth, right? There's no world where chat gets me to roll on like those units like that I hate that much. Like it's not gonna happen. Oh yeah, Hades. Hades was a good game. Actually, Fury, I play Epic 7 like every day. I just don't stream it. I do want to stream some other games. There just hasn't been a lot that's really grabbed me. And either that or the games are so irrelevant that I feel like it'd be kind of bad to stream them. But yeah, it was, when we do find other things to stream, I honestly love it so much normally, unless there's like loads of backseating. But like for example, when we played XCOM, it was like nothing but Fate memes, right? I loved taking this like Fate community that we have, and then like letting it go nuts in XCOM, right? That was hilarious. Like anytime we play something, all the, like we played Dragon's Dogma, all the just non-stop Fate references and stuff are great. Like I actually love that kind of thing. I don't know, I'm kind of leaning towards playing Dragon's Dogma again because I never did get to do the Dark Arisen stuff on stream, and we never did get Ascalon for St. George, and it was just crazy. Like, you could make a character look so much like St. George in that game, and you could get Ascalon as a weapon, right? Like, it's kind of great. All right, let's see where we are. I haven't quite completed the second floor in this account yet, but we're getting there, I think. The second floor is pretty big, man. Hades is really fun, though. I really did enjoy that game. That was a really good time. Like, the story was actually quite enjoyable. The aesthetic was phenomenal, right? And the gameplay was good. Like, they did really good in that. I really like it. I think they might have actually added more content since I last played it. So, kind of more the merrier, though. The more they add when I come back, the better. More loading joy, indeed. Yeah, I play Dead Cells. I actually used to play Dead Cells a lot. The main reason I don't play it a lot now is because to do the really cool stuff that I think people want to see, that's not going to be repetitive. You have to be good, and I haven't played it. It's a very hard game, and like when I was like in practice, I was pretty good at it, and I could get really far, and I could play the higher difficulties with the boss cells and stuff. But because I generally nowadays I go back to it like every few months, I've lost all skill in the game again, and so you have to go back to 0, which is kind of repetitive, right? That's a big reason why I don't really play it. I don't have the time. I don't have the time to like get good again. Love that game though. Fucking great game. Love the music. Love the atmosphere. The gameplay is super satisfying because it's hard, but it's hard in a very fair way for the most part. Every once in a while, like there's like too much. There's shit all over your screen and you just can't see anything like that. I'm not really a fan of. That happens every once in a while, but generally it's like a pretty fair game and designed well and stuff. Yeah, I really like that game. It's very good. I really enjoy the boss fights and stuff. Also, it's very hard to stream too, just because if you're gonna stream it, you have to turn on the streamer mode, right? You're just being a coward if you're not. But it's so much harder, dude. I can beat that game pretty easily off stream, right? Like beating the Hand of the King is not that hard to do off stream and stuff. I know they've added more bosses since then, but I haven't played in ages and stuff. But like, it's so hard in Twitch mode. Oh my god! And like, everything is so much harder in that. If you turn on like 1 or 2 boss cells, and then you have fucking Twitch mode on, so the chat is like just spawning zombies and bombs and stupid shit. That game is so much harder, and especially for me because I don't have very good eyesight. And something I've noticed, I don't even know. I truly don't know. I'm not like a medical expert here. But something I've always struggled with is like if I'm playing a game where like there's just a lot going on in the screen at the same time. I just stopped being able to register what's even happening. Like, and I remember when I played like League of Legends way back in the day, like 10 years ago, whatever, with my friends and stuff. If things got really chaotic on screen, I just could not even tell what was happening. Like my brain was like, nope, I'm out. I've always been like that for all my life, and like bullet hells and stuff are very difficult for me. Not because I can see like pattern recognition, all that stuff is fine. It's just whenever like things get really chaotic and lots of colors. That's the big. There's lots of different colors on screen and stuff. My brain is like, I'm out, have fun, like good luck, I'm out. And sometimes Dead Cells gets like that. Sometimes there's too much stuff going on the screen, and my brain's like, nope. And that's annoying to me. And it's not really the game's fault. It's just, you know, probably my really bad eyesight and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, if there's like lots of colors and lots of different things going on at once, it's very difficult for me. And especially if I'm streaming, because one, your attention is already more divided because you're having to talk to chat and stuff, and you're speaking aloud, and that takes away from your concentration and stuff. And then Twitch mode in Dead Cells adds more on the screen, right? Dead Cells can already have a good bit of shit on the screen sometimes, but then Twitch mode, you know, they can spawn extra mobs, they can have bombs spawning and things like that, and it just gets really confusing for me. But it sucks because it's not like I'm happy about that. It's annoying because the Twitch mode is awesome, and it legitimately is awesome. But it's not fun. I don't know how to describe this. It's not fun when like when things like that happen, like when you know you have an eyesight problem and stuff, and it makes you unable to play something. It ends up just being very, very frustrating. And so I kind of stay away from games that I have eyesight problems with. So, but normally Dead Cells is fine. I'd say 90% of the time it's not an issue, but there definitely are times that it's an issue. Yeah, Hades is the same way. It does happen in Hades too, and there are just times where I just, you know, too much is happening. I'm like, I don't even know where my character is anymore, and I can't even register. Like, you just can't even you can't focus. That's how I feel. Like when there's too much like color and stuff moving around, I can't focus, and I can't really register what's actually happening for a while. It's kind of annoying. But yeah, Hades can get really chaotic like that too sometimes. It's manageable though. I'd say most of the time Hades, it's pretty manageable what's going on screen. Just every once in a while, there's like, okay, it's getting a little bit crazy right now. Take a look at work, man. But yeah, I do feel like it's kind of time for us to play some other games. It's been a lot longer than normal. We used to mix it up more. I don't know. I just things haven't been grabbing me. Like I'm pretty picky about games, and nothing's really been grabbing me. And then a lot of most of the stuff like I feel like playing is stuff that like I've already played a lot before, or is really, really, really old and stuff like that. I'd like to try something new and mix things up. I know, I guess there is value in streaming a game you don't even enjoy, right? Like that can be fun. Like let's say a new game comes out, it's kind of fun to see people's different takes on it. Because I enjoy that. Like when a new game comes out, I like seeing like the different people I follow. I like seeing like people's different opinions about it, even if they hate it, right? Like that can be actually enjoyable. So I don't know, but I don't know. Old Boomer Green is gonna hate a lot of things, so I don't know. We'll see. Also, I've always been like this. It does not matter what my financial situation is like. I do not like wasting money. I just don't, right? Like, so I don't want to. It's hard for me to justify like buying a $60 game that I know I'm not going to like. And like as a streamer, you kind of have to suck that up, because generally to do well as a streamer, you need to play the recent games, and those are always going to be $60 and blah 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 blah. But it's really hard for me to justify that kind of thing. It's not even a financial thing. It's just I don't like doing that. And I don't want to like if I don't like the developer, I don't want to give them money and things like that, right? So that kind of. I do need to play Darkest Dungeon. I've said I'm going to play that. I definitely will do that soon. I've never played it, but I've heard of it. I know it's turn-based and, like, your characters die permanently and shit like that, so I'll definitely have fun with that. Thankfully, I know nothing about it gameplay-wise. I know it's, like, turn-based to a degree, but I don't really, mechanically, I don't know anything about it. And I don't want to. I want to go in there and figure it out for myself. Wait, it has PvP? I didn't even realize that game had PvP. I'm guessing that's something to be added in later. I feel like I would have heard about that back in the day. So this is something I've realized, and it's definitely the way the internet has changed, and like what people expect out of other people, like when they're playing games with friends, or when they're watching a streamer and stuff. And I think this is why there's so much backseating in today, or people just blurting shit out and stuff. And this does not affect everyone. There's of course people that don't do this, but you know, backseating is really prevalent. Like, you can have someone playing Dark Souls blind. Someone who's, like, you know Dark Souls is an old game. Plenty of people still, you know, not kept up with it. They weren't interested in it originally or whatever. And they play it, like, now. I'm sure someone today has played Dark Souls completely blind. They've never played it before, never looked into it, know nothing about it. And so that happens with video games all the time. And a lot of people, when they say they're playing it blind, they want to be blind. They don't want to look up guides. They don't want, you know, those kinds of things. They're wanting to experience the game for themselves and learn things. Learning is a very fun thing to do generally. But there's something about the way the internet has just gotten better, and there's so much more information sharing, and it's like it's so easy to get every bit of information at your fingertips. If you want it, you can get it so easily. Even if you're playing the most nuanced, hardcore like MMO, you could find the most in-depth information about every little thing about it so easily, right? So easily. And so it's gotten to the point where if the information is known, you're expected to know it, and people think you're like, oh, they're almost insulted by if you don't bother to know it, right? It even applies to FGO. If someone learns some under-the-hood bullshit, they expect every streamer to know that thing, right? And it's like a problem if they don't, which is ridiculous, but that's how it is. Like, that's become a thing where if the information is known, you're expected to know it now. And people apply that to even Dark Souls, which is so stupid, because the whole point of why Dark Souls is fun is learning and figuring things out and, you know, tackling problems in your own way and all that stuff. But it's like, I see so many people in like Dark Souls chats and things like that, where they're almost like insulted by the streamer not knowing all this like under the hood bullshit that's been figured out by the community over time when they're trying to play the game blind. It's insane. It's the same in Epic 7. It's actually horrible in Epic 7. That's actually one of the main reasons I don't stream Epic 7, is you can't just fucking play the game and have fun. And you see it in FGO, not as much, but I definitely see it in FGO. You see it, you know, just so many things where, and it's lame. Like, if you want to play something and learn it and figure it out, games really aren't that fun in my opinion. It depends on the person, but for me, I am not gonna enjoy. Like, if I wanted to play Sekiro, if I went into that like already looking up guides, watching YouTube videos to figure out all the under the hood stuff, and I wouldn't have any fun in that game. None at all. I want to figure that shit out for myself. That's like half the fun for me. And a lot of games are designed with that in mind. So I really dislike how the gaming culture has gotten to that point. I vastly dislike that. But it's really prevalent nowadays, and there's, like I say, there's a lot of people that don't think that way, but they're generally they're silent, right? The vocal minority is very much in that camp in almost every video game ever made now. And it sucks. It really hurts my enjoyment of games, and that's one reason why I'm so gun-shy of streaming games that have like established player bases already, because you have a bunch of people coming into your stream just backseating and all this other bullshit. You know, I can't stand it. Like, I don't enjoy a game in that environment. Like, Monster Hunter is such a good example. I love Monster Hunter World. I had so much fun in that game when I didn't stream it. But when I streamed it, it was just people constantly like criticizing your decisions when you're just trying to like play the way you want to play, constantly spoiling things, possibly like, oh, he doesn't know, right? Stuff like that. It's like, who would want to play a video game in that environment? Like, who wants to do that? It's so much more fun to sit down with your popcorn and just enjoy the game the way that you want to enjoy it, opposed to having the peanut gallery back there saying, oh, he doesn't know all the time, or I can't believe he's using dual swords and stuff. You know, it's just like, fuck off, right? Like, no one is going to enjoy a game in that environment. And most streamers don't enjoy that stuff. They just put up with it. Like, and I know this for a fact. I know so many streamers that, like, hate that kind of environment, but they've just gotten used to it, and they know that's how it is, and they know to keep their stream healthy and to do well as a streamer, they have to ignore it and not get mad over it and that kind of stuff, even though I know it bugs the hell out of them. There's actually a Dark Souls streamer. He's one of the oldest Dark Souls streamers, and I've always really liked watching his stuff. And I know for a fact, because he used to talk about it a lot back in the day, he hates backseating, like, so much. And he used to get really aggravated at it, and now he's just made the decision of, like, you know, turn the other cheek, and he just doesn't, you know, bring it up much. But I know it still drives him fucking crazy, right? And it's just something, like, if you want to do well as a streamer, you kind of just have to put up with, but I'm not going to. Like, I'm not going, because I think it's so rude, and it's so absurd that, like, we're in this situation. And I don't even get it. It is so much more fun to watch somebody struggle and learn and figure things out and get wrecked. Who wants to watch someone play, like, seriously, why would you want to watch someone play Dark Souls who's never played it before, but they've looked up everything, and they've read guides, and then chat just carries them and holds their hand all the way through and tells them every little thing, and backseats for them all the way through. Who wants to watch that? That's so boring. And it's like the people backseating, I do like Ouroboros, actually. That's not who I was talking about, I like Ouroboros a lot. He's actually like one of my favorite streamers. But anyway, yeah, I love watching him do PvP and all that stuff. Anyway, most people, I think, watching streams don't actually enjoy backseating, and they don't want to watch a streamer, you know, play a game blind, but then look up everything and all that. Most people don't like that. It's a vocal minority. And that vocal minority wants to feel important, or they want to feel relevant, or they want, you know, and so that's how they do it. They want to show off by, like, oh, look how much I know, so I'm telling the streamer, look how much more knowledgeable I am. That's where it comes from. I think most people that watch it don't actually like backseating, and they like the streamer being blind. They like watching someone play Dark Souls for the first time and getting wrecked by the boulder in the tutorial, right? And they like watching them have no idea how to fight Ornstein and Smo, and they like watching what scuffed equipment they pull together, opposed to, like, running around the world and min-maxing all the equipment they could grab early on and stuff, right? I think people love that stuff. It's like, oh, he's just using the Morning Star, right? Because that's what he's got, and he's, you know, using it as best he can. Like, that's, I think, what people like watching, so. Yeah, there's not a lot of the, like, the old school Dark Souls players aren't playing too much Souls right now because there hasn't been any, like, new stuff in a while, and a lot of them don't like Dark Souls 3 because Dark Souls 3 doesn't lend itself very well to, like, long-term repeat play, like with the PvP and stuff. But hopefully once Elden Ring comes out, a lot of that stuff's gonna come back. Assuming Elden Ring is good, though. Elden Ring could, you know, suck. It's totally possible. We know so little about Elden Ring, so it's kind of like, we'll see. Well, even Warframe has backseating. That's so sad. Because that's like a real, like, you know, it's a lot of progression and like that kind of stuff. I'm surprised. I'm completely hardcore about that. Actually, now that I think about it, I guess I'm not surprised Warframe has a lot of backseating, because Epic 7 had the most backseating I've ever seen out of any gacha game ever. And it's because Epic 7 is so progression based, like, and so most of the community only cares about progression based. They're not even gonna stop to think to go have fun and, like, oh, I wonder if I can do this with low stars, or I wonder if I can do this with, like, this thematic team, or if you know, what if I have this gear range? What if I'm not over gearing this thing? Like, most people don't even think that way. Like, they almost see the entire point of Epic 7 of just being efficient and farming and getting gear to go PvP. Like, that's all you really get in your chat and that kind of stuff. So, and yeah, I can kind of see Warframe having a similar problem with its community, because it is very progression based. Yeah, I've definitely heard that the in-game community is generally fine, and I think the Epic 7 community is mostly fine. I think the majority of people that play Epic 7 are totally fine with people just playing the game the way that they want and all that kind of stuff, and that they could totally enjoy sitting back and watch somebody, like, try to do the main story with trash mobs, or try to do abyss mode with some you know bullshit criteria or whatever, or use, not use over gear, or that. I think most of the Epic 7 community it's totally fine for that kind of thing. But those aren't the people that are necessarily using Twitch chat, and they're not the kind of people that are going to find your stream and that kind of stuff. And that's true for a lot of communities. It's the same for Warframe. I would imagine the average Warframe player is just trying to have fun, right? And they have no problem with other people playing the game however the fuck they want to play the game, right? They're not even going to care. Oh no, he's being slightly less efficient, right? They're not going to care about that. But again, those aren't the kinds of people that are necessarily going to wander into your stream, let alone to be active in chat, right? So it's just kind of this is how it is. So. Because, like, for example, my brother is not the kind of person that would ever backseat, and he's just going to play the game that he enjoys, and he doesn't like, you know, looking up guides and stuff. It's pretty similar to me in that department. But and as such, he never goes to a Reddit ever for anything. Like, and he never really uses Discord outside of ours to like just talk to me and stuff, and Tusk and all that. But and there's a lot of people like that where, you know, they're just enjoying their games, right? But they don't go around to like YouTube, and they don't use, you know, Twitter and that kind of stuff. So you get you know, it's easy to be negative. What I'm getting at is you're not getting the full pie, right? You're getting a very selective group that is more likely, and obviously there's plenty of variety, but you're getting a very biased sample size when it comes like Twitch chat, Reddit, those kinds of things, and obviously also what kind of stream you cultivate yourself. Changes things. I feel like at this point we've driven out a lot of idiot backseaters, but I don't know, there's still some from time to time. Yeah, I've heard the actual in-game community for Warframe is really nice. I've actually heard that it's like abnormally good, and like the devs are abnormally good, and they're really good at like listening to feedback and just playing with the community and just making a very free-to-play friendly game and that kind of stuff. I've honestly only ever heard good things about the Warframe like developers and community and stuff, but you know, the Twitch chat for Warframe is obviously a subsect community that's like a different thing entirely. So I played Warframe a little bit and I didn't really enjoy it, but it's not because the game wasn't made well or anything like that. It just is not my kind of game. Also, it was a very long time ago, and I know that game has like completely changed. So. The devs have changed over time. Yeah, that can happen, so. I'm not like up to date on Warframe at all. I haven't looked into it in such a long time. Yeah, I know it's a very grindy game. That was a big part of why I didn't like it. It was very progression based, and like every enemy I ever fought was really easy and boring, and it was just a stat check all the time, so I just wasn't really... And you know, some people like that. Some people like min-maxing their stats and figuring things out, and they like progressing, and they like, you know, and that's fine. That's totally fine. It's just that's never been my kind of thing. Oh look, it's the Poison Command code. I did not get last year on this account, so I'm really glad I have it now. Although I think I got the other poison ones, so it's not that big of a deal, but more poison the better. Also, I didn't like the aesthetic very much, and I know they've added like more options for like the look of things. But back when I played it, and back when I kind of kept an eye on it, I just did not like the aesthetic. I like sci-fi and I like, you know, space stuff just fine. But like the kind of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a little bit of weeb and a little bit of like, just everything's a bit twisted. That's kind of the thing. It's like space, but a little bit weeb and a little bit like twisted, I guess. I don't know how else to put it, and I've just never liked it. There's nothing wrong with it. I actually feel like they actualize their aesthetic very well. Like the aesthetic they're going for, I think they do a very good job of selling. So that's actually done very well. But it's just not my, you know, it's not my kind of thing. But I know they've added a lot of other stuff and whatnot. So I mean, I haven't looked at the game in so long. I feel like I'm actually going towards the exit right now. I'm pretty sure I am, but I needed to do all the side stuff, so yeah, this is the exit. But I've only got one side thing to do, so we're fine. That's nice. They'll have both floors done in both accounts. That's good. I like how these bosses are, they're not even bosses. Like, these floors suck. I mean, these suck. These stages are trash. There's like no fun to be had on these stages, man. Later they get better though. There are some stages you can have some fun with later, but right now these are just so lame.
そうか殺そうか
Like even this stage, if you just, it'd be really hard to make this stage interesting if you try to solo or whatever, use low stars, just wouldn't, it would not be interesting. Surprised they went with Buster down. I would have thought they would have gone with Quick down.
こういうこともできる
That's what they do a lot of anti-quick these days.
古きルール技の血で
Got this quick resistance down, all that stuff.
よし片っ端から蹴散らしてやるぜ
安い安い
Buster DPS time.
してこにして100の顔を先手サバーニーヤ
クサントスバリウスペルス命がけで突っ走れ我が命は
I wish FGO nerfed things. Now you should be reasonable about it. Single player game, all these things. I'm definitely not one for like ruining the fun of a unit. And I always say, even if you have a unit that's really harmful for the game and is affecting boss design, like Merlin and Scatty do, Merlin and Scatty are very bad for this game. They affect like the overall game design a lot in very negative ways. So even if you have a unit like that, you do not want to nerf them in a way that makes them lame at all. You actually, like if I was going to nerf Merlin for whatever, you know, one reason or another, I would actually then buff him in other areas, right? You might want to rein in some of like the things he can do and that kind of thing, but then give him other things and make those things really fun actually, and make him like, you know, have other options that are really good and stuff. But never, I always dislike games that have a policy of never nerfing, and there are several games like that, like Vandictus. Although actually Vandictus did eventually nerf a few things because they basically had to. But because never nerfing results in an ever increasing like standard, right? And then I think power creep just gets so out of control because mistakes are going to happen, things are going to be overtuned and stuff, and you need to have the option to dial things back. Now you should never take a unit that's top tier and they can trash. You should never do that. That's never a good idea. If they're top tier, it's fine to keep them top tier. You just might want to lower the gap between top tier and mid tier or whatever. And then, like I said, if you nerf something, you can buff something else. That's always a great way to nerf something, is to give them other fun things that they can do as well. And that normally keeps people from like freaking the fuck out. But it is really unhealthy for games when you never nerf things. It can make such a problem. And you know, I get it. You know, people, you know, want their favorite things to be as strong as possible, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it's hard to deny, like, when it starts affecting game design and how you can balance bosses and other abilities and other units. Like, look, every time they add a quick AoE unit, they have to design it with Scatty in mind every time now. Like, it's so obvious that they do that now. Like, that's why Voyager has, even though they obviously know he's going to be able to loop with Scatty, they made his damage so much lower. And then with Nightingale, they made sure her, like, NP gain and hit count didn't work that well with Scatty. Like, it can work, but nothing great, right? They're always doing stuff like that now because they have to, and they always have to make the challenge quest gimmicks now with her in mind. And just watch on NA. You'll see this in live action, right? Because NA is like 2 years ago, right? The first chunk of challenge quests you're going to see that they put out, you can trivialize with double Scatty. And you don't have to do like double Scatty and then like Poster Girl and all this other crazy stuff. You can do like a really basic stuff, which is double Scatty, maybe the Switch Mystic Code, and then like, you know, Edmund or Lancelot or something like that, and you can just quite a few challenge quests for a while. It's just laughably easy with Scatty. Like, you just shit all over it. And then you'll see them start changing to the way they do challenge quests. So although it still works, you start needing a lot more help. You start needing also Waver and Nero Bride or Chin Gong and then Poster Girl. Like, you start having to need a lot more stuff to kind of keep the thing rolling. They start really front-loading the challenge quest in a way where that initial burst from Scatty won't just instantly kill everything. There hasn't been a challenge quest that I actually worked on in a long time. So yeah, on NA you'll get to see this, where it starts off just completely ridiculous how easy it is to trivialize these challenge quests with her. At least if you have two of her anyway. And then it just starts kind of getting phased out because they start changing their boss design. That's not good for the game, because you're like, oh, but it's fine, they've changed the challenge quest. But no, the problem is the way you have to change the challenge quest to make Scatty less OP affects a lot of other units. There's a lot of collateral damage, right? A lot of other team comps A lot of other, you know, budget setups and stuff stop working now because of that. And a lot of things stop being viable because of that. And you get stupid shit like the Shadow Knights of the Round Table challenge quest, which is just bullshit for you know, newer accounts or free-to-play accounts or 1 to 3 stars or whatever, right? Like, and that's not bad. That's very bad for the game. And they keep having issues like that. You know, Merlin did that, and now Scatty's done that, and it's affected a lot of stuff, so. Alright, this might be the last stage we have to do. Apparently a lot of people in chat here have played Warframe. So, like, what's the consensus? I've seen some people are, like, disagreeing. That for those of you that do play it or played it or whatever, do you think the developers still do a good job and it's still really free-to-play friendly and all that kind of stuff? Or is it not? Because someone was saying that it's not like that anymore. Like, it used to be, but it's not now. I'm curious how y'all feel about this. Well, I will say, to be fair, there is no challenge quest that's ever existed that is actually not, like, that's not doable free to play, because you have command spells, right? Like, even the Shadow Knights of the Round Table is one of the hardest things they've ever done. Or, I don't know if hard is the right word. It's one of the biggest stat checks they've ever done, where the amount of, like, raw value you needed was so high. But even that, you could do with a very, honestly, not even a very good team if you just use command spells, right? And everyone has command spells, and they regenerate once a day and all that, right? I've never seen anything that's not doable with command spells. Now, the community generally doesn't see command spells as legit or whatever, so if you make, like, a video, you're probably, you know, people are like, oh, yeah, I use command spells, it's not legit, blah, 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 blah. But that's not an actual standard for anything, right? That's just people being people. So even the most bullshit things. However, and in Nerofest also you could use command spells. A lot of people think you can't use command spells in Nerofest. You can. You just can't use the res. Now, the res is the most powerful. It's that using the res is so much more powerful than using the 3 command spells individually. Because basically, if you use the 3 command spells individually, you get the total value of like 3 NPs or 3 health bars. That's it. Not at once. It's one or the other. It's just 3. It's like 3. If you value a full health bar as 1 point, you value an NP bar as 1 point, you can get 3 points, right? The res gives you 6 full health bars and 6 full NP gains at once. So that's 12 points, right? That's so much stronger, right? It's really hard to lose with the res. And now you're not able to use the res in Nerofest, but you are able to use the individual command spells, which is still very helpful. It's not nearly as helpful. It's significantly weaker, but it's still quite helpful. Yeah, and skill resets. That's a good point. So it's actually more than 12 points, because yeah, it will also give you skill resets. Now, that's a variable because sometimes you didn't use your skills and you died or whatever, right? You're not necessarily going to get good value out of that, but you can get value out of the skill resets. So yeah, that's a good point. However, I think I speak for a lot of people that enjoy doing budget setups, or they like using low stars, or they like maybe using a couple of 5 stars, but then augmenting them with low stars. I like doing that a lot, personally. There's a lot of people that, you know, enjoy that kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of people that enjoy doing that stuff. And I think most of those people aren't going to be happy if DW adds a challenge quest that you can't really do reasonably with those kind of setups if you don't use command spells, right? Most people are not going to be happy with that. And then you're always going to doubt. Right, you're like, well, what if I kept trying and maybe I could have done it without those command spells? That's how I always feel, right? Like, I always would feel that way, right? So, that's why I don't want to break the rules on the 1 to 3 star account, and I don't want to grail anything. Because then every time I beat a boss, I'm like, well, what if I had just got my skill ranks up better? What if I had leveled a few more units? What if I tried other setups? You know, you're always going to feel that way. And that's not fun. That's not a good feeling. Now, that's subjective, obviously, but yeah, I really don't like the way they've had to do challenge quests since double scatting and everything. It's not been ideal. Alright, there's 6 of these guys.
準備完了だ。潰させてもらう。
I'm seeing very split opinions about Warframe still.
よし、任せろ。
I also do find it funny, my chat has been hijacked completely by Warframe stuff now. Apparently a lot of people have played this, so...
さあ、立ち塞がってみろ。
I literally just spent so much time explaining how Scatty changed challenge quests. What did DJ Green do this time? What? Like, this song's kind of quiet, sure, but I mean... Shame I couldn't loop my MP there. I mean, this song was legitimately kind of, it's just a quiet song in general, but it was definitely hearable. Audible, whatever. I actually have found, I really do enjoy using 4 stars. One of my favorite things to do, I've done this for several times just because it's, you know, a lot of times it makes a more reasonable setup. I've always said, if a 1 to 3 star setup just requires an ungodly amount of RNG, a lot of times I'll throw in an A4 star or so to cut down on that RNG a lot. I really like that better. But I often really enjoy when I use like 1 or 2 4 stars and then everything else is 1 to 3 stars to support them. I always enjoy that a lot. Chat, I really want your feedback on this. I really want to know if other people ever feel this way. So like, for me, let's say I want to show off Evil Cat, you know, Atalante Altar, right? The evil kitty, right? If she just gets, like, if I just use double Scatty, switch Mystic Code Waver, I don't feel like I'm really showing off what Atalante can do. That doesn't feel very good, right? It's more like, look how broken these supports are, because they can generally carry so many things like that. Where if you do like Atalante Altar, then with a lot of really reasonable supports, like, you know, Hans or Caesar or whatever, you know, MASH, these kinds of St. George, those kinds of setups or whatever, or even with working with other DPS like Billy or something, that just feels a lot better, and you get to kind of show off what makes her unique, because then you're more likely to have to actually want to use her NP seal and actually use her Star Absorb. You know, if you're just crushing shit, right, and using these crazy strong supports that give you overkill value, you're normally not really pushed to kind of show off what's actually unique about Atalante or build a team around what's unique about her, and this applies to other units. Like, so that's a big part of why I avoid using the really strong supports and stuff. Because I feel like a lot of units have unique things about them and unique pros and cons, and a lot of that it becomes irrelevant when you're using the really high-end supports. Like, for me, it feels really good when you're like, okay, let's focus on this unit, even if they're a 5 star themselves. Just because you're a 5 star doesn't mean you're some OP carry that's going to run everything. Like, you know, Gilgamesh and stuff like that doesn't really carry without the help of things like Waver and Merlin and stuff like that. But you take like a 4 star that you really like or a 5 star you really like, and then you can, most of the rest of it's, you know, fairly reasonable. Maybe use another rare thing here or there. But, you know, then you really have to kind of, you know, make a team that makes sense. You have to actually play to their strengths and stuff, and it's actually pretty, you know, I really enjoy that. That's one of my favorite things to do in FGO. But yeah, Atalante Altar, yeah, NP Seal, 20 NPs. And it can really add up. If you have a way of getting her to NP a few times, you can slow down the enemy's NP rate so hard that you don't, like, it makes it really easy to sync up your survivability skills. A lot of time the enemy might NP slightly faster than your cooldowns would come back, so you need like a David in there to augment things and things like that, where she can really help with that kind of thing and keep your survival skills on par with the enemy's NP rate. But a lot of times if you're using strong supports, you win so fast, that's irrelevant. Like, I beat the challenge quest in 4 turns or 3 turns or 5 turns or whatever, it's like, who cares, right? Where if it's going on longer than that, that can have a bigger impact. Dude, so that's one thing I just love about Mozart, is he can make, you know, basically any art unit, you know, do better, and it's such an easy way to do it, but it's not broken either, right? It's just like, hey, you get a lot of, you know, big burst value, and you can split it up and the art up in one turn and the crit up in another turn if you want to. So yeah, like Lee with Mozart, and like Sitting Master with Mozart is awesome. That's actually an extra awesome bit of synergy because, you know, Sitting Master is already big into the whole art thing and critting, right? So he's already happy to have the art up and the crit up. But then another thing that is unique to Sitting Master is he has all the attack down, lots of attack down. And so, and let's say the enemy's doing their NP, and you've got like maybe, you know, 70% attack down. Well, then you can slap in Mozart's NP down on top of it, and now your whole team's pretty much saved, right? Like, it's awesome, right? That's a really fun thing. I really like that. Lee's definitely a DPS unit that I like though, because he's really strong, very impactful, very helpful. But if you're not using him, again, with all the broken OP bullshit supports, like you're not doing Waver double Tam or some nonsense, he's not going to trivialize a boss. Like, he's not. He might make it a lot easier, and he might be really helpful for, you know, fucking a rider up or whatever. But he's generally on his own is not going to trivialize a boss. You're still going to have to interact with the boss mechanics plenty. Okay, so we just got these. You know what, let's, I don't remember what this stage drops. Although I bet you it drops the silver mat, because the previous free quests, they dropped the bronze mat and the gold mat, so that tells me that this stage is very likely to, okay, fuck it, we'll just do this, we'll be lazy. I feel like it's very likely this stage drops the silver mat. That's FGO logic. I know how they do things a lot, so they don't always follow that kind of formula, but it's very common. But yeah, dude, 4 stars I have found so much fun gameplay-wise, because they're normally in this really fun Goldilocks zone where, like, you know, maybe you're getting a bit more value than, like, what a typical unit of that type would get, and you can kind of capitalize on that. But it's fun to capitalize on that, but they're not getting so much value that they're trivializing things at all. So it can, you know, they can shine a lot when you, even with budget supports and stuff, and I really enjoy that. Like, I really enjoy, like, I'm not a big fan of Lolly Medusa, but that was fun doing that challenge quest with her, with the Berserker guy from Gouda Gouda 3. I actually really liked that because the team was $1 billion% budget, right? The team was super, you know, low rarity and all that stuff. I wasn't bringing anything that like hard countered the boss. And Medusa Lily, or whatever, Medusa Lancer Lolly, or whatever you want to call her, she's okay for that boss, but she's not like the best pick for that boss. Not because she's bad, but because that boss really incentivizes units that either have like armor ignore ultimately, or that can, you know, but also stun and charm is good there because the boss can't cast his defense up thing if he's stunned or charmed. Now, Medusa Lancer doesn't charm like nearly as often as like Uriel, for example. Uriel can like really shut that fight down if you're able to charm at good times, because you can have so much blocking of his like defense up and stuff. Where with Medusa Lancer, she can, you know, she can offset his buffs a bit, but you're still gonna have to deal with his defense up quite a bit. So there's no world where Medusa Lancer is like some super amazing pick for that fight, but she's good. And because it's not like her best fight, you can really see the value of her. It's like, oh hey, even though this is not the best fight for her, she can still do really well and beat the fight with just all these like really budget units and stuff. And she had loads of extra value, So that, you know, that was really fun to do that kind of stuff. And I like making teams like that for units. And seeing what they can do and that kind of thing. You know, I haven't used Mozart with Ryoma, we say his name, the welfare guy. I don't know why I like them a lot. I just haven't really used him with Mozart much. I really should. I could see that being pretty fun. Yeah, most of my favorites are 3 stars, but there are a lot of 4 stars that I really like. There's probably more 4 stars than 5. I don't know. Some of my absolute favorites are 5 stars, but then like after that, there's just loads of people that are 4 stars that I really like. Like you see more 4 stars on my top 30 list or whatever. Than why are we randomly telling Shepard to chill? He didn't even say anything. What? Well, doubling up on things can be good. It's like, if Hans gives you a crit buff and then your unit has a crit buff, it's fine. It's like, more crit, great. You know, sometimes spreading things out is better, sure. I don't know, why didn't I just NP here? I could 3-turn this if I just... Everyone can NP on turn 1. Why didn't I don't know what I'm doing here. Well, fuck it, I guess we're just normal carding down the first wave then. Kind of... So imagine if Canis had actually been available when the Poseidon fight was available. Wouldn't that have been nice? I'm misplaying so much. I'm actually super frustrated because I'm like, I could have 3-turned this so easily, and even if I was gonna do normal cards, I could have, I think, already killed this. I'm just not paying attention to what I'm doing. Yeah, Canis with her, she had like 3 animations during, she had a skill animation, she had a crit animation and an attack animation, and then an extra attack animation. But it was pretty bad. It was pretty bad. I'm not sure if Medusa has the whole Poseidon issue in Fate or not, because in most of her legends, they're not connected in any way, but in some that they are. So I don't know if they did that or not. I think they did. I don't remember, but honestly, both of them have a lot more going on than that. Canis has a lot of issues going on up beyond the Poseidon stuff, but so does Medusa. Canis is definitely more hung up on that, though. Because basically, Canis has like a lot of issues that stem from that, but she doesn't care that much directly about him anymore, really, is kind of what it seems like. Although she's happy to kill him if she can. Yeah, my Gwain's 2k foed, although he's not all the way 2k foed, he's like 1,600 or something. On this account, like my main account, I just 2k foed one at a time, but on this account I kind of just spread it out everywhere and get everyone to like a medium amount. But yeah, honestly, in most versions of this, and this is where it gets really weird. I've talked about this before, and this is why Legends can just get messed up, and because it's not like a set story. Like they don't work that way. You have different writers, different periods, different takes. But so as far as I'm aware, there are different versions of Canis, and then most of the variations with Canis are actually for Canos. You know, later, the later stuff, like how he dies and what he does and stuff. That's where most of the variation is. And I may be wrong about this, but as far as I'm aware, Canis' origin story is always the same, and it's always got the Poseidon nonsense. And so like the only version of Canis' like origin story is that. That's the only one. And so in that story, Poseidon is, you know, portrayed that way. But that, and I know, and this part I know for a fact, Medusa is not like that. Medusa normally does not have any connection to Poseidon, and a lot of other legends and stuff, Poseidon is not portrayed that way. Like, not nearly as extreme with like with Canis and stuff. Like, so there's a lot of different takes on Poseidon and stuff. He's not always portrayed that way. And then with Medusa specifically, they normally don't even have a connection. So it's kind of awkward putting Medusa and Canis in the same world like that, right? And because you have like these different takes on Poseidon, but then Canis' origin is only the one way, right? It's like, it's kind of weird like that. But there's a lot of that in Greek mythology where it doesn't quite work. And so I think what Fate kind of tries to do is they kind of try to average things out. And they try to like, kind of pull from the general knowledge that people seem to have for like the characters. Like with Zeus, they kind of went in both ways with it. No, they're not. Like Zeus is actually like the most extreme example. I always say this, and I swear it's because no one actually reads anything. It's become, this is a recent thing from the internet where everyone acts like Zeus is like this, you know, horrible rapist all the time. That is just not even remotely accurate. Like that's the most extreme example of where I think the internet is just ungodly wrong, where they find these few examples. It's like, it's so easy to like look for these they like want to go against the grain, and that's like the thing. That's what catches on Reddit. And that's what people repeat and stuff. Is the stuff that goes against the grain and stuff. And you see that with like Achilles and stuff. Like literally, you have basically slander from the Roman Empire being taken as like canon for Achilles now. It's ridiculous, and it like Zeus is often not portrayed that way. Like in like most of his stories, like if he does bang someone, they don't even talk about it. It's just like, oh yeah, and then he had a kid, right? There's no like, oh, and he raped her. There's none of that. And it's in so many stories, Zeus is. I mean, the Greek gods are universally, generally, shown off as being, fairly temperamental and selfish and that kind of thing. And it's because they were, designed to explain the elements and war and famine and all these things and all the randomness in life. But so many takes on Zeus, he's like protecting, things from like, cosmic threats and bullshit, and he's like actually doing what's better for like, everyone in the long run and stuff. There's a lot of stuff with Zeus where he's a good guy and generally not a rapist like at all. There are stories where he is portrayed that way, but the fact that people act like that's like the one take on Zeus is just ridiculous. It's not consistent like that at all, and it's because welcome to mythology, nothing's consistent, right? There's a million different takes on Arthur's legend, there's a million takes on Zeus, there's, so it's like, it is what it is, and I'm not trying to like whitewash Zeus here. I don't think Zeus is benevolent by any means, and the Greek gods were never really supposed to be portrayed as benevolent. Very much not. They're kind of portrayed to be selfish pricks. But a lot of like the mainstream take on how Zeus is now is just not accurate to the majority of the legends. It's just not. And and that's like, I think the worst case of that though, I was first to say it was Zeus, but it's actually probably Achilles. I think Achilles, again, people are wanting to be contrarian, and they want to say that thing that was like, oh, you guys think Achilles is so awesome, but he actually, raped Pinth's corpse. That's not a thing. Like, that's not a thing. Like, generally, Achilles has almost no interaction with Pinth whatsoever. He literally just kills her, and he doesn't even realize who she is because he just effortlessly kills her. There's a few different takes on that. And then after the fact, he just, it's like, oh wow, I just killed someone that was like a really beautiful woman and all that, and he feels bad, right? That's generally all there is, and in some stuff there's even less than that. Right, it's mostly like Roman stuff trying to make him look bad, and that's somehow gotten taken as like a mainstream take on Achilles. I mean, it's ridiculous. Like, well, even the Hector stuff's not universal, and there's the reasons why he did that. Now, again, Achilles is not perfect, and he's not supposed to be. He's very egotistical and very competitive and very motivated and whatnot, but that does lead him to be a kind of an asshole, and like he was almost offended by Hector killing the one guy and all that stuff, right? Like, of course, like there's plenty of things you can point to with Achilles where he's not, some benevolent person, but that's why I like a lot of Greek mythologies, because they don't portray people as white and black. They're not like this, oh, they're just benevolent, or no, they're just malevolent, right? They don't do that. There's generally pros and cons here, because that's how real people are. There is no one on this planet that doesn't have major flaws, major personality flaws, and things like that. Like, that there's no one like that. And like, if you look at the situation Achilles is in, most people are going to be fairly irrational and angry, like right there, right? Like, of course, Hector hadn't actually killed that guy in malice or anything. But like, if you're, let's say someone you're really close to, maybe your significant other, maybe your father or your mother or your brother or what have you, or your best friend or whatever, if that person is murdered, you're probably not going to be very rational about how you deal with their killer, right? That's generally how people are. If you look at like a lot of times you'll have like somebody like literally robs a convenience store, but then they're killed in the robbery, and then the family of that person is normally really irrational about how angry they are about the person that killed the robber, right? And it's because they're their family and they care about that person and all that stuff. They're not being rash. That's how most people are. Now that's not necessarily. Now some people take it way too far, and then you got to take a step back and all that. And a lot of the Greek legends and stuff, a lot of the flaws are exaggerated, of course. But that's pretty normal. Like, again, that's how humans can be very irrational and make mistakes and in the heat of the moment do bad things, and people are prideful. You might be a very smart person, a very helpful person, and in many ways a moral person, but you might be very, very prideful. Like, I'm a very prideful person, right? A lot of people are like that. Like, everyone has, pros and cons, and a lot of times those cons are tied to positives. Like, a lot of people that are prideful are also a lot of times very motivated and work very hard and things like that. Like, so there's a lot, that's how life is. Life is very gray and stuff, and I think a lot of Greek mythology does a much better job with that. than a lot of other stories, which can be way too black and white. Although there is definitely some black and white in Greek mythology. Oh yeah, I remember all that Apollo stuff. Yeah, I know that stuff with Achilles. Actually, no, Fury. That's the thing. That there is. I cannot stress this. There is no set canon for Greek mythology. There just isn't, because different people wrote different things, and someone would write something, and that was just their take on it. There is a story where Poseidon rapes Medusa, absolutely, but there are a lot of stories of Medusa that didn't have anything to do with that, right? And a lot of times, like, Medusa was used, and she didn't even have an origin story. That was just one that a guy wrote. That doesn't make it the universal canon, because there just isn't a universal canon for these things. They're really not. It's like I've looked into this quite a bit. It's literally just a story, and it was actually written after a lot of the other stories of Medusa or Gorgon, really. And that's one. And yeah, it's definitely a known legend, absolutely. And I'm not saying I don't have a problem with if a game wants to portray it that way. That's fine. That doesn't bother me at all. But I honestly don't remember if Fate actually references that or not. Off the top of my head, I don't think they do, but they might. I don't remember. But that's what I was saying. It's kind of awkward because you have other takes on characters and stuff that are really different. Like with Medusa, you have multiple takes on her origin, and then you have Canis, who doesn't have multiple takes on her origin, and mainly because Canis is a much more niche character and just wasn't used very much. Where a lot of the more big names, and especially the gods are portrayed very differently by different writers and in different time periods. Like, so it's not fair to be like, oh, this one writer in this one time period wrote Poseidon this one way, and so that's just how he's portrayed forever now. Like, that's stupid. That doesn't make any sense. You don't have to ignore it either, but I'm just saying, it's like, just like with Arthurian legends, you know, Mordred was portrayed different ways in different stories, and so just because Mordred was portrayed one way one time doesn't mean that's not the set canon. That's just the way he was portrayed. Because in some of the takes on Mordred's not even related to Arthur, right? And in some he is. So it's not like it's not a universal thing that Mordred is Arthur's kid. It's just not. Now in certain, if you're like, okay, in this version of the story, that is canonical, and that's fair, right? But like with the Poseidon especially, there's just so much variance with the way like the Greek gods are portrayed by different people and stuff. Like it's hard to miss if you actually sit down and read the actual stuff from like the different periods and the different people and stuff. There's some pretty significant differences in the way things are being portrayed and whatnot. Like it's very noticeable. Like with Poseidon, there are several takes on him where he's not like that at all, and then there's some that he is. So it's like it's not consistent. And that can be frustrating. It's you don't have it's not as simple as like a lot of stories in the modern day where you just have beginning, middle, and end, and that it is what it is. But you know, it's like different people could write different things, and you still have a parallel in the modern day because different people can write like comic book characters or whatever, and you have different portrayals of them and different takes on them. And there's normally some universal agreed upon things, but not always. And like just how Spider-Man's been portrayed over the many years has changed dramatically, and it's the same. It's exactly the same for Greek gods. I will say though, I do not see any portrayal of the Greek gods though that really portrayed them as like benevolent. I'm sure there's like some writer out there that was just like up their asshole and was trying to portray them completely in a benevolent way, but generally they're not shown that way. And I think it's fair at that point, with the variety of different legends there are about them and how they behave differently and all that. I think it would be weird to portray them in something as truly benevolent, because it's a pretty known thing, at least by historians and stuff, that you do have this kind of all over the map, good sides, bad sides thing. And like even Hades generally makes the gods, I would say, better, but they still very much hint at throughout the game about them having like ulterior motives and being selfish, and they have them behave that way. Like when you do those altars where you pick one god over the other god gets really mad and attacks you, right? And like they're very temperamental. That's pretty accurate. That's how most, I think, historians kind of see it, where they're good side, bad sides, but temperamental, and that's how Hades does it. And I think that was a pretty good way of doing it. But again, if you want, like, I don't have a problem if a story wants to. And okay, I know there are individual Greek gods that are actually pretty chill, but I'm kind of talking about the big names here. But that's true. Like, I would say the Greek gods are generally slightly more negative than positive, I would definitely say that, but they're generally not, like, universally rapists and all that stuff. And, like, the Athena thing with Medusa, that's another one. Like, that overwhelmingly is not actually portrayed in any of the stories. It's just there is a story where they did it that way. Although Athena does consistently do things that annoy me, but that's a different thing. By the way, when I brought up Hades, I was talking about Hades the game, not Hades the god. And like another example of that, people always say, Hades is really chill, but I can find plenty of examples of Hades doing pretty shitty things. But again, not every writer wrote him that way. You know, it's not like every writer didn't write about Hades and Asclepius, right? That's not at all, right? So that whole interaction there is not always how he's being portrayed. I think one reason why this topic always gets so ridiculous and out of hand and everything is because Greek mythology is really popular, but most people don't actually read the source stuff anymore. And then there are so many takes on everything that people's opinions are all over the place. Like every time I see people talking about this stuff, like on Reddit, Discord, and Twitch chat here and stuff like that, it's always so all over the place. And I think it's just because it's such a large mythos, it's spanned so many years, that it really is just all over the place, and it's basically pick your poison. It's like you can basically pick out any part of it you want to make the message you want, if you will. Because then you've got like the Roman take on everything. Like how we got this freaking 0-2 music. Okay, boys, I think we'll wrap up there. It's getting late, and we got a lot done. We finished the floor on both accounts, so that's good. I'm feeling good about this. Man, now I want to play Hades again. I love all the Greek mythology in that. Man, you know what sucks is we're probably not going to see much more Greek mythology for a while in FGO. I really enjoyed it while it lasted, because it is a lot of fun. But yeah, now Lost Belt 5 is over, they're probably going to go easy on the Greek mythology. The one we might still get, like, we might still see the things we've already seen. What I mean by that is we might get Zeus and Demeter later down the line, but we're probably not going to see them, like, give Hades a design and do a lot more other Greek characters for a while. I'm sure they'll do some other Greek stuff here and there because there's just so much Greek stuff and it's so popular. But yeah, I feel like they're gonna go easy on the Greek stuff for a while. But I am hoping that maybe we get a Greek event, like a Greek-related, like, summer event or something like that, or, you know, Zeus for anniversary or something. That would be really nice. But yeah, I don't think they're going to design a lot of new Greek stuff for a while. But, who knows? Maybe they'll get to it. Like I said, it is super popular. Although I don't know how popular it is in Japan, to be honest. I guess it's fairly popular. I mean, there's a lot of Greek stuff in FGO, so. Okay. Man, I know Cairo was streaming earlier, but he's not streaming now. Never get to raid him anymore. Alright, well, we'll just raid somebody playing some FGO. What do we got here? I'm gonna rate this guy because his stream title is Phantom versus Ziggurat. So, I don't know if that necessarily means Phantom the unit, but I hope it does. And I think it does, so we gotta raid this. We gotta raid this. So, alright boys, let's go see some Phantom action. I'm gonna get some dinner, and, peace.